And we are live. Welcome, everybody. It is Dome Week. Let's go. We're just a couple days away from being in the Superdome, and we are really excited about that for the LHSA State Championship games. I'm your host, Jace Lejeune, and this is going to be our final preview show of the season. I'm joined, as always, all season long, Spencer Ferret with the LHSA Network, and we're going to talk about how we can watch the games from the LHSA Network if you cannot make the state championship games this week. And we're making his valiant return back to the boot. Grant Sacheret is making his return this week, so we celebrated last week by getting Grant on the show to talk about the semifinal matchups. But, guys, looks like we're not going to have a couple other members of our party, which will be a big show tonight. But we're definitely going to have the three amigos here. We'll have some fun. We'll talk about some high school football, some playoff football. So, Spencer, we'll talk with you first. I know you just made a trip up to North Louisiana with Jarrett Roser and a lot of the guys of the LHSA Network. And if you go to the LHSA Network, they just posted right before us, about an hour before us, their LHSA Prep Classic preview. So you can go and check that out after the show is over. But Spencer, it's been an early start to the week, Dome Week for you, and it's already been busy for you, I can tell you that.
Yeah, I'm trying to find a time right now. I think I finally got a haircut appointment scheduled for tomorrow, so we'll get the main trimmed right before the dome. Just excited about this week. I mean, it's so close, and it's exciting every year. Last Friday when the matches were confirmed, I was like, all right, couple more sleeps and we'll be waking up in the Superdome. And it's just such a great time. You mentioned it, the Prep Classic preview literally just went off the air maybe 5-10 minutes ago. That's a great show. You can hear from every single coach from across the state. We ran around like chickens with our head cut off, but we got every single team and every single coach and some players say at least one thing. I think it'd be remiss if we didn't start with the teams that have fallen so far in the on the way here. My heart goes out to all the Plaquemine fans. I hope they still tune in tonight. At least have picked a team to support the rest of the way, because I will miss the Plaquemine fans a lot. I'm hoping they can put it together next year. But yeah, every team that's fallen along the way, hopefully, you take this year and you enjoyed it a lot. And I'm telling you now, man, don't go if you're a senior and you're graduating from your school, don't just forget about old little high school now. Go back every now and again, catch a game, and catch some great games on the LHSA Network this week. I'm about to get off my high horse, but if you want to see how to watch any of the games this week, if you have a smart TV at home, Apple TV, Fire Stick, Roku, download the LHSA Network TV app on there. If you need an example, check out my Facebook page, my Twitter page, my Instagram page. I've got all of those on there. I think the video of me on Facebook explaining everything and sound like an idiot's been shared about like 100 times. It's good information. So, thanks as always, Jace, for having me on here, and excited to do terribly again in the pick'em.
Me too, Spencer. That's the beautiful part about this. Make a lot of teams proving us wrong, and go and check out that. I did see the Facebook video. It's a great step-by-step tutorial on how you can watch the games if you cannot make the state championship games this week. And then we have Grant Sacheret as well. Grant's making his return back, and with the Crescent City gang this week, Ken Trahan and company. I know they also do a great job of promoting high school football in Louisiana. But Grant, no better time to make your return for Dome Week. I can tell you that.
Yeah, man. It's what a time to be here. I kind of perfectly timed it out. I wasn't expected to come this early, but I'm here. And, I was really excited. The fact I was asked Ken, hey, I'm going to come back, for the Prep State Championships and everything like that. It's like, okay, if I can cover it. He's like, yeah, sure. Why don't you come along? And so I'm really excited. I actually got some stuff lined up already. It got, actually before I hopped on, I was actually going to finish up my article about Trevin Simon.
Yep. Of
course, our running back is such a Catholic, and he actually came to our media thing we do every year at Hooters. Yep. Usually we do it for the local schools, but it's like Ken invited such a Catholic, and of course Taylor James is one of the best team coaches in the state. And of course, you also have the state's leading rusher who broke the single season rush. It's a great way to highlight them because, of course, that game is actually going to be broadcasted on 106.7 FM in the New Orleans area, and we actually reach. So if you're driving down to New Orleans for the state championships, there's a good chance you might catch us on 106.7 if they're broadcasting a New Orleans area school, right? So we're broadcasting 3 New Orleans area schools, Riverside and Central Catholic. So we want to highlight them. Also, state's leading rusher, by the way. We're going to broadcast the Shaw St. Charles game, which is the 7:00 game on day 2 on Friday, and then the final day we're going to also broadcast the St. Aug Car game on 106.7. Then also all the games will be streamed, audio streamed on our web on the CrestCitySports.com, where you can go check it out. And of course, we're going to have week-long coverage of the event. Of course, it's going to be me, Ken, Les East. Ro Brown's going to actually have something about St. Aug tomorrow. I think you could go check that out. Ro is a legend, of course, in the New Orleans area.
Oh, absolutely.
A guy, the very first black sports anchor in the New Orleans area, but somebody who's respected around the state. I mean, dude's in the Hall of Fame, man. He's in the Hall of Fame, right? So, and he's a historian. He's a historian, of course, and he knows a whole lot about the history of St. Aug. And speaking of St. Aug, first time since 1979 that they're appearing in the state championship, and it'll be the first time in the Prep Classic because the reason why it's so important is because the reason why we have the Prep Classic at the Superdome is because of St. Aug and Jesuit too. But it started with St. Aug and it started with Jesuit. And St. Aug was the first team, one of two teams to play in the Superdome, and that's why everyone is saying, "Let's go to the Dome. Let's go play in the Dome," because of St. Aug. St. Aug is one of those two to participate, so it's a huge deal in the New Orleans area. We're really excited, and really, I think it's a great time to have in Louisiana, right? I think this is the most talented that Louisiana. But I think this year. We're seeing a whole lot. I mean, Carson has 50 guys signed to Division I schools, right? St. Aug has a bunch of talent. I mean, everyone has a lot of talent. And not only that, you have a lot of North Louisiana schools participating. We already know how well North Louisiana schools travel, and they have a lot of tradition and everything like that. And not only that, the final 2 days on Friday and Saturday, they end with New Orleans area schools. And if there's a winner in all this, I think it's the LSA because they're like, oh, well, we're gonna get some baked. We're gonna get some baked this weekend. Yeah, St. Aug game card. They're barbecuing. They're gonna start barbecuing at 9:00 in the morning, man.
They will.
So I'm really excited this week, and I think everyone is, including you guys.
Oh yeah, really excited from the first game, which is going to be Haynesville and Mangum, all the way to the very end, which is the whole city of New Orleans will be there with St. Aug and the car.
Actually, that freeze again.
A little bit.
You're freezing around a little bit, Grant.
Yeah, you are.
You ready for this, Jace? 41,878 is the Prep Classic Superdome official record. The unofficial record is 42,000 with St. Aug and Jesuit back. And now that unofficial one was 1978 between Jesuit and St. Aug. And then the unofficial or the official one is 1999 West Monroe Evangel. There we go. I can read stats. Thanks to K104 this morning when I was on the Aaron Dietrich show, they pointed that out, and I think if there's a game that could break the records, especially in today's age when streaming and all this other stuff exists, and it's all pretty easy to get to, I think that kind of hurts the numbers that people that might show up. But I'm pretty sure we said I think I was talking with Jared. I was like, I think people are gonna fly in to get to this game. They don't want to miss this. And
We got Leonard Fournette saying that he's going to be there, and all these great players that played in the car in St. Augustine. Especially one shot me, you see Tyrann Mathieu and Leonard Fournette and all those guys on the sidelines, because this is history in the making for sure. I know we had some technical difficulties with Graham. We're going to try and get him back on. But, yeah, it's crazy. We're going to talk about a lot of rematches, basically some common themes this year. There's a lot. You went up to North Louisiana. There's been a good year for North Louisiana with a lot of teams punching their ticket to the Dome. And the surprising part, Spencer, because this has really been one of the best areas of football this year, but I don't think there's a Acadiana area team in the Dome, which is pretty shocking to me. But I love the fact this year, Spencer, before we go and break down all these matchups and predict all these games, is that you get some new blood. You get some new blood in there. Mangum's hasn't been there in 10 years, since 2015. You have Gina getting to the Dome. I mean, North DeSoto, Iowa, Ouachita. It's been for a long time. So you get a lot of new blood in the Dome this week, which makes it pretty exciting, because you get a lot of teams trying to crack through that door for the first time, basically.
Well, I think it's fun too when you have, you mentioned it, that new blood, but you have games that's like North DeSoto, Iowa. No matter who wins, someone new is going to be champion. So it's especially more fun when you have something like that. But I like how you skated around a little bit. I think I messed up the other day. I said, "Man, no team from the 337 made the Dome this year." I was like, "Wait, Iowa made the Dome. That's technically the 337." I was like, "I meant the Lafayette area."
Right.
But sometimes people forget about little Iowa. But we'll talk about them a little bit later. I guess I guess as we get closer to the pick'em, I've had teams say, "Look, just keep picking against us, man. You're doing really good."
It's worked out so far.
So. Sometimes, the record. Look, I've got to keep the record as good as it wants. At 10-6, are we really making the? I guess we would make the playoffs at 10-6.
Yeah, you maybe get that 7th seed in there.
Yeah,
get wild card.
Yeah, it's getting there. We're not. It's serviceable. Now 9-7, how I think I did on the show last week. Now that's despicable, Jay. We can't get away with that.
Yeah, I don't even want to know what my record is, so I'm not going to even try. I'm not going to even try.
Well, I know that I had you beating the quarterfinals, but I think honestly, you might honestly have me beating the semis, man.
Yeah, I gotta go back and look, but let's go and talk about, and then we can talk about all this. If you're watching us before we go into our picks and everything, make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Make sure to follow us on Facebook, X, wherever you're watching this, whatever platform, make sure to follow us. And it's great that we have Grant here, Crescent City. You can, especially 106.7 The Ticket, you can listen to the game if you're not at the Dome, or you go watch it on the LHSA network. So there's ways you can watch it and listen to it if you're not physically in the Dome. So
also want to mention this too. By the way, I'm outside, so if you see smoke coming out of my mouth, it's just it being cold. Yeah, because I gotta find a place where there's good Wi-Fi. But yeah, it's also going to be on our site as well. So if you want to listen to it on the, so you drive into the Dome, you want to see hear what's going on. It's going to be on our website. Just go look at CrestCitySports.com and everything like that. They'll have links to it and everything like that. Yeah. To make sure everyone can listen along with the action. Also want to mention this too. The last time all three of us did a show, I just want to preface this. I had hair. So, and by the way, guys, I'm not an old guy. Like me and Spencer both were in the same graduating class at LSU. So I'm not an old guy.
Well,
Haynesville.
Haynesville is watching. So, and that's a perfect way to get this all started, is because that is the first game we're going to talk about. It's the first game on Thursday. So, guys, y'all ready? We're ready to go through these games and predict some state champions, basically. So
get some stuff wrong.
Get some stuff wrong, make us look bad, but we're going to go and talk about it. So, first off, Division 4 non-select, your state championship is pretty much how you drew it up. It's going to be number 1 versus number 2, Haynesville versus Mangum. Haynesville, we talked about a whole lot. They were on a mission. Their third straight appearance in the Prep Classic. We always know about the Franklins and how many state championships they've won. They're trying to win number 18 for Haynesville, second only to John Curtis. But the last 2 times fell short to South Plaquemines and Oak Grove. Isaiah Washington, the LSU signee, trying to lead the Tornadoes to the Dome, have a great storybook finish. But in their way, the Mangum Dragons, Coach Scott Wilcher's done a great job with his team. They've been very close the last couple of years. They've been knocking on the door. Now they bust open through that door, and they're in the state championship game against Haynesville. First time since 2015. So, guys, 1 versus 2 is pretty much what we drew it up. A lot of people predicted this to be the state championship game, and now we have it. So, Spencer, we know how it works. Make sure we go predict the game to see who looks good, who does not look good. And if you have any comments, guys, if you're watching, we want your input. Tell us who you think is going to win each game. So we want your input as well, and we'll put your comments on the show. So our comment here, our question as we go through our panel to the audience, who do you think is going to win the state championship? We got Jordan Taylor joining in. Maybe Jordan can give us some predictions as well. Under the Lights, been knocking it out the park all season long. So they've been a great supporter of us. So go and follow them as well. Under the Lights, Jordan's done an awesome job this year. So, Miss Norma is going to be picking the Tornadoes. That is for sure. So if you have a prediction, make sure we want to hear your predictions as well.
I'm going to assume that's Isaiah Washington's mom, correct?
Is it Miss Norma? Are you Isaiah's mom?
Or related to him in some fashion?
Probably so.
Yeah.
Probably so. But what a player he is. LSU's getting himself a really good one. I know that for a fact. So I'm glad they pulled the trigger and offered him. But Spencer, your thoughts on this matchup between number 1 versus number 2? Can Haynesville get it done?
Well, I'll tell you what, this is the matchup that we thought we were going to get at the start of the year. I think that, well, I wouldn't say start of the year, but start of the playoffs, I guess you could say. I think these two teams have kind of been on a collision course. Tell you what stands out to me about Haynesville is, the kind of the saying has kind of been, well, guys, they really haven't played anybody. Look at their schedule. Who have they really played? I think last week, I think I wrote down for my quote unquote score prediction was like, I thought it would be a really close one between Haynesville and General. Man, I tell you what, they looked really, really good. Isaiah Washington, you mentioned him. He had a really good game on defense as well as, obviously he runs things on offense. But then you look at what Mangum, and you're like, man, that's really impressive. And then you look at what Mangum was able to do to South Plaquemines, also in a dominating fashion. 2 semifinal games we thought were going to be pretty close ended up kind of being, one-sided. And so now you get to the Dome. And this is the moment that I think, sometimes you talk about experience in the Dome. And you say, well, don't look up. You don't want to look into the lights. You might go blind. Stay focused on what's on the field. And Haynesville's kind of been used to that over the last 2 years. But then you look at Mangum, and you got Scott Wilcher, who's continued to do just an amazing job with the Dragons since he took over in 2019. He was on that staff that went to the Dome 3 straight years, lost all 3 years. 1956, the last time the Dragons won a state championship. They won that game 2-0. I quizzed the kids when I was up there. Hey, do you guys remember the score? And they're like, we look at that football every single day. It's first state championship in school history, 2-0. Mm-hmm. And they're so fired up, and they want to win another one. Willie Randolph, he's a great tailback for him. Reggie Rovers, his real name's Reginald, but they call him Reggie Robertson. Mm-hmm. That dude's a stud of a safety. I think they're very senior laden, but so is Haynesville. I think this is probably going to be, there's a chance this could be the best game of day one. Right now, since you got to put me on the spot, Jace, I'm just saying now, this is my pick. I'm going to go with Haynesville. I trust the experience in the Dome, getting to play there the last 2 years, come up short. The saying is third time's a charm.
Yeah, third time's a charm. Storybook ending. Grant, you've definitely covered Haynesville the last couple of years and how it's ended. I mean, 2 years ago, it was different, Grant, with that game because they ran to Oak Grove, and Oak Grove was just a juggernaut. Jackson Brown, all those guys, right? And you look at it last year, they had to play a team like South Plaquemines that they could, and they thought that they let that go through their fingers with last year. So I know that's a lot of motivation for this year for this team. But still, this is a really tough Mangum football team. Obviously, what Spencer was saying is trying to make some history and win their first state championship since the 1950s.
Yeah, so, of course, we all know about Haynesville. I mean, we know about the tradition that they have, 17 state champions, second only to John Curtis, who has 27 or 28, if you consider their the state title that got taken away. So I would say 28, which is ridiculous. Which says a lot. A lot of credit needs to go to JT because the man's won just as in half the years he's been the head coach. John Curtis has won 28 state championships, which is about it's 56th, 57th year. Mm-hmm. Like, the man's coached a long time. I can't give you the exact amount of years, but Haynesville, has been in the state championship for the last 3 years. They have not won a state title, I believe, since 2014. Mm-hmm. And so it's been about 11-year wait for them to finally bring home a title. They've reached the Dome the last 2 years. I mean, of course, you already mentioned the Oak Grove game. And that was a team that was a really young Haynesville team, right?
Yeah.
And really, I mean, a lot of those, there's a lot of sophomores. Like Isaiah Washington was starting both ways as quarterback and a safety as a sophomore. Yep. And, they ran into a very experienced Oak Grove team, an Oak Grove team that was, had a lot of really good players, a lot of guys who've gone and play Division I college football. And then last year was, again, we all thought, we both picked Haynesville to win last year, Jace, because of that experience they had the year before. But South, and because it's just, if you look at the teams, look at the roster and everything, they were a much bigger team in terms of size than South Blackman. But what South Blackman had was they had speed, and I think that's what ended up beating Haynesville last year was just the speed that they had. And I think this year. You're going against Mangum, who's kind of a very similar team, very physical. Your stereotypical North Louisiana team. They want to smack you in the mouth. I think that may make it a little bit of a better matchup compared to South Blackman. I think this game will be close, right? Yeah. Haynesville's, they're desperate. That senior class is desperate to win a state title. It's Mangum is trying to win their first state title game since 1956. Of course, the whole town of Mangum might be there because of that, right? So I think it's going to be a very close game, but I think Haynesville will edge it out. They finally get it done in the Dome. It's a long time coming for the Golden Tornado. They have, like I said, they had not won since, I believe, 2014. It's been about a 10-year wait. And David Franklin finally brings home his first state title as the head coach since 2014, which is also he's coached there a long time, right? It's only been it's been a father and son duo over there at Haynesville. So he's not the only coach's son that'll be coaching this game too. We'll discuss that more later in the show. Yeah. But I think Haynesville finally gets it done. Nothing against Mangum. I just think it's time, like Norman said. It's their time.
It's our time.
It's your time. This ball's in your court. This is your last chance for these seniors, and I think they know that. And I think they finally get it done. And I think just it's time. It's time. Mm-hmm. It's time to bring it home.
Yep.
Don't let them take it away from you. That's the type of mentality they're going to have.
My biggest question about this game, guys, is Haynesville. You look at their schedule this year; they have not been challenged. I mean, it's been blowout after blowout after blowout, and the biggest question is going to come is like, okay, when they get what happens to get hit in the mouth? Mangum is a really good football team. You look at their only 2 losses this year. It was Chena and Ouachita Christian. Those are the 2 losses they have this year. But like you just said, Grant, I think it's their time. I mean, you go through your growing pains. That was a young team that first year. So 2 years ago or 3 years ago, and you go in last year and maybe you got a little bit more. I mean, a little too confident, from that previous year, and this, I think, some growing pains a little bit from a young team the last couple of years, and I think this is a team that's matured and knows that. Mangum, it's been a couple of years. I mean, like you mentioned, when Coach Tommy Tharp, had the Dragons on their run going to 3 straight state championships, but they've fallen every time. And now Mangum's had a great season this year. Scott Wilter's done a great job with that team. But I think that experience factor, I think that's something we talk about a lot in the Dome. A lot of these teams, the ones that are back in the Dome a whole lot. So I know we're going to have a clean sweep right here. And, we're going to go with the Haynesville Tornadoes. So that's 3 for Haynesville. And I'm not sure if you like that or not, because last year me and Grant both picked Haynesville, and you see how that went. South Blackman won that game as a number 2 seed. But we're all riding with the Tornadoes and see if they get it done.
And I got a key to the game because I was able to get some stats in from the legend himself, Lenny Van Gilder. He actually sent me the stats for what he had so far. And I think one of the keys of the game is, turnovers, right? Of course, Haynesville runs a kind of like I believe they run the option, right? And so they get, they got to, of course, that leads to fumbles. So they got to protect the ball. But also, Mangum, if you look at Mangum's stats, I just able to pull up. So their quarterback, Kobe Casey's completed 68% of his passes, 18 touchdowns. He's only had 3 interceptions.
Yeah, he's been good.
And Mangum's only fumbled the ball 4 times this year. And Haynesville has a really good defensive backfield. Jace, I think you already know that.
Mm-hmm.
You have Isaiah Washington. I mean, he's going to, he plays both ways as a quarterback and safety. He's going to play safety at LSU, but he has 4 interceptions. And Travius Brooks, the other safety, he also has 7 interceptions. Both of them returned 1 for a touchdown. Latavius Brooks returned 2 for a touchdown. Isaiah Washington's returned 1. So this is a team. He got some ball hawks at the safety spot. So can Mangum throw the ball down the field effectively, especially deep, right? Because you got 2 really good safeties back there, especially Isaiah Washington, who of course is an LSU commit. And if you know anything about Haynesville, as much success, and you better not throw it. Yeah, as much success as Haynesville has had. They don't really have much Division I football players come out of the school because it's a smaller school and they play at a smaller level. So with the fact that you have a guy like Isaiah Washington who is committed to play at LSU, and even with Lane coming in, the fact that Lane Kiffin kept him lets you know that guy's a really good football player, and also he trusts the defense coaches when it comes to evaluating the defensive side of the ball. So he's a very special player. I mean, good size, 6'2", 6'3".
Oh, yeah.
I don't know his exact weight, but he's a good size football player. 6'7".
6'7".
Get it out now, Jace. I know you don't have it. No, there's no way to do it this week. We don't have a 6'7" matchup this week. So get it out now while you can. Because I'll be able
to throw it in there. I'm gonna find a way. We'll find a way. I know a kid on Ruston who can definitely help you find. That's what I was referring to.
Yeah, there you go. Pull the surprise for you. All right.
Yeah.
Hey, I tell you what though, for the people who might be staying back in Haynesville, I told them I was told last week Gonzalez Mexican Restaurant, that place is gonna be popping. Hopefully, if there's TVs in Gonzalez Mexican Restaurant, they'll find a way to get the Haynesville game on the TVs. And I would love to see some videos from that. So if anyone's staying back in Haynesville, it's kind of tough with these Superdome trips. You don't think many people stay back there. But if anyone decides to stay back, Gonzalez Mexican Restaurant's the place to go.
Yeah, and the ones left back, most of the town of Haynesville is going to be representing on that Thursday. So in case anybody is wondering, that is the first game on Thursday. This is the one that's going to kick off the Prep Classic. So we got to get off to a great start. We need a good football game. We got to get the energy going, start off really strong between Haynesville and Mangum. All 3 of us are picking Haynesville to win Division IV non-select state championship. But that will be at 12 o'clock for the first game. So we're going to Division IV non-select to Division IV select. And we're going to do things different. We usually did classifications, guys, and then we go to break. How we're going to do it tonight, we're going to go through days. We'll go through the first day, take a break, second day, take a break. So that's how we're going to do it here tonight. So we're going to go to Division IV select. This is going to be the second game of the triple header on the first day, and it's Ascension Catholic and Riverside Academy. If you like 2 great running backs, you got 2 great offensive lines, smash mouth football, guys, we might get in and out of that game pretty quick going to the finale. But Ascension Catholic is what a season Trevin Simon. I know Grant talked about Trevin Simon earlier in the show. We're actually really excited to have him. He's actually going to be playing in our bowl game at the end of the year, so a chance to add on to those stats he's already been producing this year. But single season rushing yards and touchdowns, a Louisiana high school football state record. What he's been doing this year under first year head football coach Taylor James. All he's done was lead the Bulldogs to the Dome, and we got a chance to have Coach James on the show a whole lot this year. So now they got Riverside Academy back in the Dome for the first time in just a couple years. They played Southern Lab, I believe it was like 3 years ago.
2 years ago.
2 years ago. That's right. 2 years ago. And they're back in the Superdome. And kind of the same question, like who's going to replace Chad Elsie at Ascension Catholic? They replaced him with instantaneously with Trevin Simon, and kind of the same thing at Riverside Academy. Who's going to replace Dedrick Lasty and what kind of playmaker he is? And Jano Beakway has been on a tear as of late for Coach Russell and the Riverside Academy Rebels. So, it's probably going to come down to which team can run the ball better. It could come down to that, or which quarterback steps up here. So number 2 versus number 5 seed right here. These are two teams that have been to Dome a couple of times, have achieved some success. So also, everybody watching, make sure to go with your picks here. We got Ascension Catholic vote right here. Sky Blanchard saying he's watching the stream as well. If you want to put your pick down, make sure to we'll show it on the show. So who do you have winning this football game to the fans? Ascension Catholic or Riverside Academy? You can actually comment below. We'll post your answer on the show. But Spencer, we're starting off with you. I know we went against Ascension Catholic this whole way. I know Troy LaBeouf is watching the show. I for sure know that Coach James is watching the show, waiting to see what our answers are so they can play it for the team. But Spencer, are you going against Ascension Catholic here, par for the course, or are you going to pick the Bulldogs here to defeat Riverside Academy?
Well, it's no secret that I went against them last week, and I got the stats from last week. Trevin Simon, 367 yards on 34 carries and 6 touchdowns. The kid's a beast. I mean, he's a different animal. And it's really weird because when we started the year, we all were asking that question. Well, who's going to replace it? But I think it's been a good study for Ascension Catholic to kind of see how teams can change throughout the year. I think if you asked anyone in the state after that Dunham game, y'all think they're going to make a run to the Dome? I don't think many people would have said that they would be there. Even after that loss against Loreauville, a little bit of a head scratcher. You say, well, are they going to make it back there? But how about this? The job that Taylor James has done has been incredible. To come in as a first year, kind of head coach in the state of Louisiana, coming from Texas, and he threw together this team. Got to give credit to the players as well, obviously, to be able to do this, and for Simon to break records. When Xavier set the records last year, we all were kind of saying, yeah, the record's going to stand for a good while, we think. And then sure enough, year after we see the record change. But tell you what, who's on the other side of the bracket? A good Riverside Academy squad that, it's no secret, everyone who's watched every week, Jason and I have been hyping up this team like crazy and saying this is probably going to be our pick to win the Dome. I think we've said, whoever wins at OCS and Southern Lab, they've got a good chance to push it against Riverside. And then we said in the quarterfinals, well, whoever wins this game is probably going to win our state championship. And so it's no secret that we favored the bottom side of the bracket, and with good reason. Riverside, they've really had a good year this year. Jaden Obikwe, the boogeyman himself, Kendrick Johnson. That's 2 big names right there for you that I think I'll stand off and kind of fly off the page at you. I think this game, though, it's going to be decided in the trenches. Both teams have really, really good athletes. You got Simon, you got Obikwe, you got Boogie. The athletes are there. It's going to be decided about who's able to move the most in the trenches, which way. It's no secret that Ascension Catholic fans have probably been telling me, well, whenever you pick us or pick against us, you're normally wrong. So pick against us. So I'll appease the Bulldogs here and continue to ride the Riverside Academy Rebels to a state championship.
So Spencer's got Riverside Academy. Taylor James has definitely got that warp out ready for his team. We got a couple votes. Sean Daigle says he has Riverside Academy winning. Thea Gomez has Ascension Catholic winning. So, feel free to – we love your interactions with us. Feel free to add more comments to the show. Everybody that's watching wants you to get involved. Grant, your thoughts. Obviously, spent a lot of time this week with Trevin at the media day, and obviously running a story about Trevin and the record-breaking performance. But the little cherry on top here is to have all those records and win the state championship. Do you think he can do that?
Yeah, of course. I think both. I like both teams, right? I think you got two picks, and I see Troy commenting. I'm like,
good
oh
pick,
my god,
good pick.
I'm scared. Now I'm scared. That's the thing, because I'm scared. Because whoever I pick, you already know people watch. I know people on both sides, right? And since Troy is also in the media. That's probably one of the first people I see when I walk into the gate. So I'm scared right now to make my pick. But on all seriousness now, I think you got two teams that are both very similar, right? They both like to run the ball. Although I'll say Central Catholic, they would do what, and the thing that I talked to Taylor James, Coach James before the season, because he likes to do a fast and wide system, which is basically like a balanced attack. It just so happens you have a guy like Trevor Simon, where you just give him the ball, he's just going to do something. I mean, the man scored, near 60 touchdowns this year and has a chance to break the 4,000-yard barrier. So, I mean, that's pretty incredible stuff. But Riverside also is a great running back by the name of Jane Obigwe. And Jane Obigwe, I haven't seen him play for Riverside this year, but I saw him play last year for East Chef when I was, in Louisiana full-time. And he was a good back for East Chef. He was a big reason why they won the district title last season. So it's no shocker that he's at Riverside and doing his thing. All right, especially the guy he had to replace was a guy who DJ Glassy, who was incredible, right? Yeah. And and I think about guys like Riverside, they often get counted out for some reason. They're brought in the conversation, but whenever they go up against a team like such a Catholic or a St. Martin's, or they have a phenomenal player. Of course, St. Martin's had Harlan Berry. A guy like a DJ Glassy would step up and outperform the other guy, which also, what I mean by outperform, I mean one guy will rush for 400 yards, and then Harlan Berry rushed for 250 yards, right? And two incredible performances. But those guys are on to bigger and better things. The thing is, what it comes down to is, I think it really comes down to quarterback play. And I think I said this on our I said this on the last show, right? We're talking, Lucas brought up Brock Bourgeois. Bourgeois, I think, is the most underrated part of. I know a lot of us talk about Boogie, and of course Jaden Bigaway, and the offensive line. Of course, you got to mention the offensive line, right? And both teams have great offensive lines, but Brock Bourgeois is a 3-year starter, right? He's a guy that is very familiar with the Dome. He actually balled out, and played well in the Dome the last time as a sophomore against a very good Southern Lab team that had all kinds of athletes, guys who got on to play Division I football, guys who signed to Ole Miss and Miami, and he performed well. And I think when you factor in, Lee Rosell's been around, right? He's been coaching Riverside, was third year now, but he's also coached at collegiate level. He was a guy who coached under Frank Monica, guy who coached under was a part of the Nick Monica staff at Rummel when they won the state title in 2019. So he's been around. He's been around. I think he also coached under Jay Roth as well at Rummel. I'm not sure about that, but I think he did. But he's been around, right? I think when it comes down to experience, I think you come down to head coach experience. He comes down to quarterback play, and I think I'm gonna have to have to pick Riverside slightly. I think it's gonna be a close guy. And I really like it since a Catholic too. I think it could go either way. I really do, and that's why it makes this pick hard, because I'm like, I'm gonna make a pick, but somebody's gonna comment it. And I'm pretty sure Troy's gonna comment in the next 5 seconds, and I'm gonna hear from him tomorrow, especially if they win. It's because he might be calling me right now on my phone. Who knows? I already know he's watching, so I'm scared. I mean, he's the boogeyman.
Yep, absolutely. Aiden, we haven't talked about Russ and Walsh at all. We're going by the order of state championship games, so this is the second one we're talking about. Yep, there you go. There you go, Grant. Good pick, Grant. Good pick. Good pick.
He recorded that. Now I'm gonna hear from him tomorrow. Him. Also remember, his son's doing stuff too now.
He is.
So I'm hoping you hear from Camille too.
Yeah, you'll hear from both of us. I know that, and
I'll hear from him for a different reason. He'll be working with us for the weekend, so I'll be hearing from him for that reason.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. But yeah, I mean, this is a game I'm actually looking forward to the most that first day. I'm really looking forward to this game. We talk about the two great running backs. I mean, two teams that want to control the line of scrimmage or want to run the football. But the difference here, and I got burned last week with my take last week, really bad. But Greg Fernandez is a good athlete, really good quarterback. He's really done a great job. Already cut. See, he already got it cut. So get ready, guys. He's already got it cut. Yeah, I mean, I think the difference is what Grant talked about. I think it's going to come down to the passing game. We know both teams are going to run the football, but you can't just, rely on just a run. So I think it's going to come down to what quarterback is going to make the plays. And it's all about experience, right? I mean, I brought Bourgeois. You talked about him, Grant. I mean, he's got a lot of great weapons. We talked about Boogie Johnson, but they got a lot of really good young talent. I mean, I called this team against a Pittsburgh in Jamboree. So I know what kind of talent they have offensively, and really their defense has been pretty good. I mean, for the most part, you look at their only loss this year was against Terrebonne, and also 5'8" team with a great offensive line, and they only gave up 24 points. It was only 24-13. So this defense has played against some really good, tough teams, but ever since then, they got a close win against Newman, but they blew out everybody else that they had to play. So it's going to be a great game. I love both these two teams as well. I love Trevin Sum. I love a big way. I love both the coaches as well. A lot of respect for both these two programs and these two teams. But, hey, we're playing chess, not checkers, right? So for Ascension Catholic. So, all right, Troy, you can play that on me as well. Of course, give me the Riverside Academy Rebels. I picked them at the very beginning. And that's another thing, too. I did pick them at the very beginning to win the whole thing. They're still here, so I can't really go against them now. So give me the Riverside Academy Rebels. And once again, another clean sweep and more bulletin board material for the Bulldogs and try to make us eat our words. Let's just say that. So
tell you what, too, Ascension Catholic last year beat Riverside in the quarterfinals. They beat them in the quarterfinals. So you use that as a little bit of extra motivation if you're Riverside. But not just that. This is part of that new district in 2A that is going to be Ascension Catholic, Riverside, South Plaquemines, West St. John, Ascension Christian in there. This is like the biggest division like the most teams, I guess, in terms of district-wise. It competes with District 7. But it's fun. We get a little district preview in the Dome this year.
That's pretty crazy.
Next year they're going to play each other. That's a crazy drive span, though, from like Ascension Catholic, Ascension Christian to South Plaquemines. Like there's nothing in between there.
Man, Troy's just being very generous. Outstanding pick, Jace. I mean,
he's loving it.
I really appreciate the kind-hearted comments there, Troy. I mean, really from the bottom of my heart. I mean, it really means a lot. He's got all cut up for sure. But we do have a couple guys picking Ascension Catholic. Once again, won't shock me either way if Ascension Catholic gets to win. So if you're interested in tuning into that one, that will be the second game on Thursday at 3:30.
Yeah,
3:30.
And
3:30 estimated time.
And not just that, we make picks. I do not claim to have a crystal ball because I'm telling you now, look, we make picks, but we look like it. This is why we play the games in high school. Like you might think, hey, look, Haynesville clean sweep. They're probably going to dominate like they do. Trust me, man. In high school football, anything can happen on any night. You can go out and you can have a really good game. You can dominate the whole year. You can win every single game. You get to the Dome, you lay an egg sometimes. This is just the way it happens. And that's the beauty of high school football. it's just so fun to watch. And so we like to have the fun, you know. Oh man, outstanding pick, great stuff. Yeah, keep picking against us. I love it so much, and I just like the amount of like buzz we're able to create about things. You know, show Big Spencer in the locker room, just like
Yep.
saying, "Oh yeah, your team's gonna lose. I don't think you got a chance." Yeah. Show me in there. That's great. Let's drum it up.
Those fat heads. Like, basically, there's going to be a fat head of me and Spencer's.
Yeah, like they walk out and like it's above the door and they'll go boom.
Yeah, they're
and
going to
like,
smack it,
wrong.
or they're going to throw some darts at it. You know, like they're going to do something where they can take out their frustration and anger.
There's TVs in the locker room, so maybe they'll prepare a little video and
they'll
play
put a little hype video to it. You know,
I just think it's going to be like one goal, and it's going to be me on screen, like doing my Stephen A. impression. Like, I just think Riverside's got a better team right now. So, all in good fun. All right, one day or one.
We got one more game left, the finale of day one, and this is I believe it's Division 3 select. Yes, that's right. Select. Division 3 select. So that is your finale.
It's not your coveted 6-7 matchup, Jace, but we do have.
Oh, we came close
5,
though.
6.
What comes after 6?
Shut up, Jace. Shut up. Shut up.
All right. Okay. So Cody Vicknair. I mean, this is Iowa representing. Well, if I'm Spencer, I lost twice to Jace, twice with Lutcher and Bell Chase over Iowa. Perhaps Spencer may want to learn more about the Iowa program.
Oh, I picked against Iowa last week because they said in the thing you picked against Iowa against Lutcher, like do it again. And I was like, all right, cool.
All aboard the Iowa train, baby.
The Iowa train, right?
We're going to talk about those Yellow Jackets a little bit later. But yep, Sean already put his input in this game. He's got the Dunham Tigers winning. But speaking of records, right? Elijah Haven, like we talked about, like the single season record from that was broken. Xavier Ford, you thought, oh, he's got that record for a long time. No, he doesn't. That record was broken less than a year. And then you look at the all-time touchdown list. You thought when Jawan Johnson beat the record, you thought, oh, it's going to be a while before somebody breaks that. And then you go look at Roman Catholic Jonathan D'Artes. He breaks that record. And you're thinking, no way it's going to happen again. And then Elijah Haven, I believe, is 2 touchdowns away from being the all-time leader in Louisiana high school football history. And he has another year left. So that will be interesting. But Dunham, what a performance last week.
Continue to be written.
Yeah, record books. Yeah, just don't put them in pen. Might as well get the pencil and just get the eraser with it as well. But Dunham, what a run they've had. They defeated the number 1 seed. LSA, what a football game that was. Back and forth is pretty much what you've expected. Dunham able to get the win 49-48. And you look at Calvary Baptist. Man, the last couple of weeks has been pretty crazy for Calvary Baptist. They go on the road. They've been like road warriors this year for Calvary. They go on the road to beat Jules Sumner 14-7, and then a goal line stand against Notre Dame in overtime to get the win and punch their ticket to the state championship game. Dunham, Calvary Baptist. This could be the year for Neil Weiner to finally win the state championship. The Tigers. This is the best senior class in program history. I mean, 3 state championships and appearances in 4 years. And Calvary, once again, back in the Superdome. Once again, I think this is their 3rd appearance in 4 years or something like that. It's been kind of close like that. But Calvary, Dunham, this should be a fun one to wrap up day 1. Spencer, who you have here? You got Elijah Haven and company pulling off, or you got the Calvary Baptist Cavaliers pulling off?
Well, I'll tell you what, this is obviously, I don't think the matchup people expected. I did say at the start of playoffs, I thought Calvary was a lot better than being a 6 seed. Yep. And they were like carrying the flag for North Louisiana in the select. It kind of feels like there's a lot more select teams down in South Louisiana than there's North. But I digress. Yeah, but yeah, Calvary being able to get here is really cool. I felt like I saw them in the Jamboree against Union, and I knew Union was a little down, but Union obviously played in the semifinals. We'll talk about them in a bit. The fact that they got here and they had to go through 2 teams that are just trying to out physical you. I mean, it's kind of crazy, but we always talk about Calvary, and I felt like the last couple of years we talked about it. And we're like, man, look how much weapons they have on offense.
Yeah.
I feel like the last couple of weeks we talked about, man, look at their defense. Dude, they're showing out on defense. But you go against two of those hard-nosed option off, veer type offense teams, and you turn around now you got to play against Elijah Haven, who cannot just run the ball, but he can also throw the ball and he can throw it really well. I think a lot of people were surprised when Dunham was able to beat LCA last week. Everyone in that football program, though, at Dunham knew they had a chance. I'm pretty excited about this game. I think Calvary's got to probably play their best defensive game of the year. And obviously they have weapons as well. You look at Braylon Huglin, Zariah Miles, Hudson Price, the quarterback. He's just a sophomore, by the way. He should take from this a little bit. Whoever gets out to the faster start is probably going to end up winning this game. And I haven't even talked about any of the weapons that Dunham has. I'll probably leave that for Grant. But I think we got a good one here in the nightcap, and I'm going to go with Dunham just because that win over LCA last week was really impressive. And I'm a little worried. You ride the high of that win in the semifinals, and you got to come back down to earth and get it done in the finals. They burned me last year, so I'm gonna still ride with Dunham.
So Spencer is riding with Dunham for the Tigers to win the state championship, the first for Neil Weiner at the helm at Dunham. Grant, you talk about Calvary, Coach Guillen, what he's done with that program. He's become one of the winningest coaches in the Shreveport area. He's won state championships, and Calvary's won a lot of state championships, so they've been more used to it. But they're doing it a little bit differently. I know they still got dynamic weapons. What Spencer talked about with Hudson at quarterback and Braylon Huglin. I saw that kid in person. He's the real deal at wide receiver for the Cavaliers. But their defense has been pretty impressive as of late. But that Dunham team, and I've been saying this all year, I still think this is the best Dunham team Coach Weiner's ever coached. And that's saying a lot with all the teams that went to the Dome over the years. Can they finally break down that door?
Yeah, I think this is probably the best chance for them to do so, especially because you still have some seniors that have carried over from last year's team. They got a lot of weapons. Of course, we talked about Elijah Haven, but Jarvis Washington, that dude is a South Alabama signee. He's 6'4". He's also a fantastic basketball player as well. Yeah. Same thing with Elijah Haven. He's also a fantastic basketball player as well. So, but Jarvis Washington has that, basketball hop to him, which also makes him unique, especially if you guy who's 6'4". Trevor Heyman's also a good receiver.
Richard Montgomery
also is a really good receiver too. So you got some, Chris Thompson. You got skill players all around the receiver. But really, what makes Dunham so good is their skill on both sides of the offensive line. And then one of the things that if you notice about Dunham is that they're not very big on the offensive defensive line, but that has not mattered really during Coach Weiner's time. They still are very physical, and really it doesn't matter how big or how small you are. If you are very physical on the line of scrimmage, you're going to win many games, and that's been proven to be a fact. Now, the one area I'm concerned with is Dunham, and by the way, I'm picking Dunham to win this game. But my one area of concern is the lack of running game that Dunham has. Dunham's leading rusher is Elijah Haven with 600 yards. They don't really have a strong running game outside of Elijah Haven this year, which is kind of surprising given that Colin Piku is back. And JJ Harris is back too, but JJ Harris is playing more on the defensive side of the ball. As well.
Yeah, they've been really beat up in the running back department this year. It feels like. Hey,
we're going to get to Mr. Howard. We're going to get to it. We're going to get to you and your Texas signee's son Hayden. Congratulations, Hayden was signed with Texas.
I spoke with him today. Yeah, and I'll get to Carr in a second.
We won't get the Carr.
Go back to the game, but I had a great conversation with Hayward. It's good to see him again. Really good to see all the players there at the media day today. Guys who I've covered, for the last 3 years, and see him kind of grow up and see Hollywood again. See him get that offer to West Virginia is awesome. I'm really excited to see all those guys play. Really hadn't got a chance to see them this year because, of course, I think that was well documented that I moved to North Carolina. But But now that of course, I'm back here home for a little while in Louisiana, so perfect timing to see all these guys. A lot of these guys who have covered for a while play their last game, especially Big Rich and Hayward. Howard. I remember when Hayward was first coming up last season, he was kind of under the radar, and then to see him blow up before his senior year, especially during the summer, was pretty awesome. Wish he would have came to LSU though. He's going. But as an LSU guy, but he's going to a great place in Texas, and I think he's going to do big things in Texas.
He
works out, of course.
Longhorns got themselves a good one.
Definitely.
I want to point out this before Jace makes his pick. Yeah, Elijah Haven leads them in rushing this year. These are just the stats that I have that we're probably going to use on the broadcast. But their second leader in rusher is Trevor Heyman, who isn't a running back. I'm pretty sure he's their wide receiver that they've had to line up at running back sometimes. Just because, Colin Piku's played 6 games. Bonneville played 3 games. Like, they've been pretty beat up at the running back position. So I'm relatively intrigued to see what happens with that running game, because you're right. It could come down to they need to establish a running game, but if your only player who can run the ball is Elijah, of course, then you can kind of key in on that. I think that I hate to say it, Jace, but I think the game might be decided in the trenches. Is that too cliche to say it every single game?
Yeah, I mean, you go with 2 teams that can throw the football and can run it up, but. And I think that's why I'm going with Dunham here is we can talk about, Elijah Haven and, he's on pace to be all these records. And, I don't know if anybody's going to catch him, to be honest with you, because if he's already being Jonathan Darts has a touchdown record this year, he's still got another senior year left. So he can definitely put a gap between him and everybody else. But to me, I mean, we talk about the receiver weapons. Their defense is really sneakily good. Now, They had that shootout with LCA, but at the same time, there's not going to be a lot of teams that can slow down that LCA offense. But this defense is pretty well coached. Like Grant mentioned, they're not the biggest in the world, but they are quick, sideline to sideline, and they're really disciplined, And we talk about Dunham as well, even though it's unconventional. With their running, because you have Elijah Haven that can run, it still can be effective when you got a guy Elijah Haven that can run. But you still got to get these guys in the screen game getting involved with all these receivers, Chris Thomas, and talked about Jarvis Washington and Richard Montgomery, all these guys. So I think that's going to make a difference. I'm going to go with Dunham. I think this is it. Like Grant said, this is the year to do it. If you're not going to do it this year, I don't know if it's going to happen. For Dunham. So I know there's a lot of pressure on the Tigers, and that's maybe why Calvary is a sneaky team, because we haven't talked about Calvary as much as other years. And maybe they're flying on the radar, which makes them scary. But I'm going to go with Dunham because that's how high I am on this Dunham team. And they came close. I mean, those 2 games they did lose. It was some really close battles with St. Charles Catholic, and then last year with Catholic New Iberia. And I think they're better. This year's team is better than those teams were. So give me Dunham to win the state championship.
Also want to say one more thing too, and there's another key to the game. Calvary Baptist has proven that they can run the ball. Of course, you already mentioned the running back earlier, Spencer. Ran for over 1,000 yards. So I'm wondering how much Calvary's going to run the ball early in the game, because I think they want to keep Elijah Haven off the field as much as possible.
Yep, it's kind of an unconventional Calvary team, because it would be the opposite. They would be the one scoring the points and lining up scoreboards, but might be a little bit of a different approach for this Calvary team come on Thursday night. All right, guys, we're going to take our first commercial break of the night. I want to thank our premier sponsor all season long, Ball in the Boot, Tommy's Windows. Trust the exterior home improvement specialist. Make sure to go to gotommys.com. So over 20 years of experience. They can trust you with repairing faulty windows, entry doors, siding, and gutters. You need porch screens or patio covers installed. We've got you covered too. Our experienced crew can help you decide on the perfect exterior replacement features for your home. So give them a call, 225-250-8808, and gotommys.com. We'll be right back after a commercial break.
Siding, locally owned and operated with over 20 years experience and dedicated to providing you with affordable options to transform any home or business. So call today, 225-250-8808. Go Tommy's, and you'll see the difference clearly. Tommy's Windows, Doors, and Siding, locally owned and operated with over 20 years experience and dedicated to providing you with affordable options to transform any home or business. So call today, 225-250-8808. Go Tommy's, and you'll see the difference clearly. Tommy's Windows, Doors, and Siding, locally owned and operated with over 20 years experience and dedicated to providing you with affordable options to transform any home or business. So call today, 225-250-8808. Go Tommy's, and you'll see the difference clearly.
Welcome back, guys. Getting everybody back in here, and we're going to go from day 1 to day 2. Before we go into day 2, I just want to ask, we picked a lot of games, but I haven't asked y'all, what game of the 3 intrigues y'all the most?
Haynesville Mangum. I just think it's going to be pretty fun to see, Division 4 select or non-select. I feel like the last couple of years, I mean, that game last year we had was really good. The year before it, wasn't a lot in it. I think it's hard to pick. Aaron and Jake asked me that this morning. Give me your top 5 games. I was like, all 8. I'm excited for all 8, obviously.
Yeah.
But I guess Haynesville and Mangum, just because, I think there's some fun storylines with it. There's fun storylines with everything. But I'm most excited about that one.
What about you, Grant? What game sticks out most to you on day 1 slate?
I think it's this game we're just talking about, Dunham Calvary. Of course, a lot. 2 really good coaches going at, 2 great programs going at. Of course, Dunham's looking for their first state title since 2004. Calvary Baptist, they won it 2 years ago. So 2 really good programs, but also 2 teams are so capable of scoring. I mean, Dunham has averaged 48 points per game. Calvary, although it may not be the same Calvary we've seen the last couple of years with Abram Wardell and Jay Simon, a running back, and different guys like that, it's still a very high-scoring offense. They still score about 35 points a game. So, I mean, it's still a very good offense, but it's a different-looking Calvary team. But when you got 2 teams like that going at it, 2 teams are have had a lot of success the last few years. I think that's going to be the most exciting game. I think Haynesville Mangum could be good. I think the second game as well with Riverside and Central Catholic could be good. I think there's not really a run option with these 3 matchups. But Dunham and Calvary Baptist, I think just to close that off with 2 teams you have no clue what's going to happen. We saw that last year in the Division 3. Really, the Division 3 Select State Championship game has always had drama, right? Last year, we had Dunham and Catholic New Iberia where you had a missed call for the Hail Mary at the end of the half that really should have been a touchdown. But I'm not trying to get fined by the LCA and not trying to get Spencer in trouble. I'm also trying not to get Spencer in trouble too. But we all know how the game ended with the blocked punt, and it ended with an interception. The year before that, Calvary Baptist, you had the St. Charles Catholic 4th down call, which was heavily debated. They didn't get the convert on the 4th down. Calvary Baptist got the ball back and scored with less than 30 seconds to go in the game to win it all. Very dramatic game. And then the year before that, Dunham and St. Charles. Was a very dramatic game too. It came down to the wire. And Dunham, like I said, they've been to the state championship 3 out of the last 4 years. The previous 2 times were very dramatic games. But this time, hopefully, it's going to have a lot of drama in this one. But I think Dunham will finally pull it out. I think all 3 of these games are good. But I think Dunham and Calvary, just the Division 3 Select has always had a lot of chaos.
So Sean has his picks here. So Cody actually has Dunham and Calvary as his top game to watch. Haynesville, Sean's got Haynesville winning, Riverside winning, and Dunham winning. That's what that's what I picked for sure. Spencer, you picked Calvary? We picked Dunham.
No, we all picked.
So we're all agreeing with everybody.
I really debated though after hearing you say I'm gonna go with Dunham. I was like, do I just pick Calvary just to
just to change things up?
If we pick chalk the whole way down, then technically, if I take a risk on something, I've got a chance of winning this. Bringing home the title, the trophy that very much exists. Now, Jace, before we get into the next game, don't scroll. But do you know what game is next, or what division is next?
That is Division II non-select.
He's looking at it right now, bro. He's looking at it, bro.
Thank you.
It's zoomed in for us on the stream. It's not zoomed in on his computer. He's got it up
He's looking at it. Yeah, we all know. I don't why I knew the answers because that's the game they're gonna be writing about. So I got assigned to that game. So I'm really excited for that. That was gonna be a lot of fun too. Really, I think all these matches are gonna be great. However, I just don't want to what some of what happened last year where the first few days were great and we got to the last day. It's like, oh, here's the cream of the crop.
While we play the games, right?
Yeah. That's why I was like, that's why you got to play the games. And
That's right. Well, and just to finish the question as well for me, I'm actually looking forward to Ascension Catholic Riverside because I get to see Trevin Simon in a big way as well, the running games and getting those guys some spotlight too. I'm actually looking forward to that game. But let's go to the second day of action here, and we'll also have a recap after every day. Gridiron Football channels, and we'll have for all the recaps, we'll have game recaps, highlights, and everything at gridironfootballusa.com. All right, so we're going to go Division 2 non-select. So we're going to go North DeSoto in Iowa. 1 versus 2, kind of like Division 4 non-select, kind of how you draw it up, right? 1 versus 2. But this has always been a bracket where you see 20 versus like 12 in the dome. It's always been kind of the wild card bracket. But here, chalk holds. We talk about it. North DeSoto, the number 1 seed, trying to, Luke Delafield, Dennis Dunn, trying to finish what they started, right? Luke Delafield got in the dome as a freshman. They lost to Letcher, Lunch Winfield, and the Bulldogs. And now they've had a great season this year, still undefeated, defeated a really good West Monroe football team early in the year. Was a really impressive win, coming off a 2-touchdown win over Plaquemine, 58-44. Did very unconventional. Luke Delafield only threw for 20 yards, but he ran for over 170 yards and 3 touchdowns in that game. But to win that shootout, Iowa, what a run! Cason Lewis, they're really their stud athlete, just a football player. Cason Lewis is. I mean, he had an incredible stat line against Bell Chase. It was like 3 touchdowns rushing on offense, and he forced 3 turnovers on defense. He was a one-man show in that win against Bell Chase. And I mean, this is a battle of 2 undefeated teams. I mean, North DeSoto hasn't lost, Iowa hasn't lost. So something has to give, somebody has to lose. Spencer, let's kick this thing off. Who you have here? You have the Griffins or you have the Yellow Jackets, and I'm sure that we'll have some anxious viewers. Cody Vickner will be really anxious to see what you say about the Iowa Yellow Jackets.
All right, Jace, you put this one on a tee for me. So,
oh yeah.
This is an interesting one. I think the thing that jumps off the page is obviously North DeSoto, the top seeded team. They've kind of run through the year. Big wins on the year, including that win over West Monroe, which turned out to be an incredible win. They've done a lot of really good things in the playoffs so far. You beat the defending runner-ups and Franklinton, and then you beat a Plaquemine squad that's got athletes all over the place.
Yeah.
I see you, Roy. Just let me finish the pick, guys. Let me finish the pick. This is it's so cool to watch this North DeSoto story kind of unfold in front of you. It's like, you see them come in as freshmen. And Dennis Dunn talked about this with Taylor Nettle, who was on the road up there.
Yeah.
You see him come in as freshmen, and to lead, like Luke comes in as a little scrawny freshman that, everyone knows about, and he leads them to the state championship. And now, and Dennis Dunn put it as this: in the sunset of his career, he gets to be with his senior class for one last game in the dome. I'm not sure what sunset of his career means, but I'll leave that up to what people want to think. But then on the other side, you got Iowa, who after last year making it to the semifinals, and you're like, they made it so close, but they lose a good bit. All the talk starts happening. Can you get back there? It's hard to get back to the semifinals, and they do just that. They run through the season, they get in the playoffs, and from when they played Northwest all the way back in the second round, I was starting to doubt Iowa a little bit. I was like, okay, look, they haven't really played anybody all year. I didn't think Southwest Louisiana was that strong this year, and it turned out they really weren't. I think their best win, I think at the time, I don't remember off the top of my head, but I think I might have been saying it was Jennings, who was also in the
probably.
So they win that one, and I remember I was like, look out, this Northwest team is getting healthy at the right time. They're putting together the pieces, and then they win that one by 40, and I was like, okay, hang on now. All right, hold up. And then next week, I'm like, all right, well, they're playing against Lutcher this week. This is the continuation of, we all thought this Lutcher squad was dead in the water a little while ago, and then they win that game, and you're like, okay, hang on, hold up a minute. I always kind of cooking here, and I started picking against them that week, and then they play against Bell Chase. You're like, oh, this is a good defensive squad. I said defense wins championships. What happens in that game? I pick Bell Chase, and what happens? Iowa wins. So, for all the Iowa fans out there, I have picked against you in 2 straight weeks, and both times you have won. Much like the Ascension Catholic fans, I'm sure you're tired of hearing me say Iowa is going to lose. I just think this game is going to come down to I've said it already, but I think it's going to come down to the trenches. I think they've both got great athletes and great skill positions.
They do.
And so what's the difference there? Well, you got to look at the trenches. And I think the difference could honestly be tight end Miller Warren for North DeSoto. And for the Iowa fans at home, I will pick against you one last time on the year. I will say North DeSoto wins, which all the Iowa fans, I think I just heard a firework go off down there at exit 43. Everyone's excited. Everyone's cheering.
Yeah, Spencer picked against us again.
Once again, he picked against us. So that's my pick for all the Iowa fans at home. You have to give the people what they want, and if you've been wrong about them twice in a row, third time's a charm.
Yeah, let's keep it going. Hey, you're just giving them you're helping them out. I mean, at the end of the day, Spencer, you're helping them out. So picking against them, but
not a happy helping people out.
Rory says thanks. You're good luck. So think about it as that way. A good luck charm.
Hey, I will say I did get the chance to talk with Tommy Johns, and that's a top class dude right there. I'm excited to see what Iowa is able to do this week, or in a couple of days, I guess it is now, and just really happy that program's had the growth it's had. Because for a while, all I really talked about when it came to Iowa was how good their basketball program was, and how good there was one kid at Iowa for like 2 years in a row. He was balling like crazy. His name slips me now, but it's fun to see them good in football. And it's fun to have the Lake Charles area in the Dome this year. So good to see. That's my pick. North DeSoto.
Well, we knew that Spencer was going to go against Iowa, but when we talked to Grant, are you going against Iowa in the year that they have a coach Tommy Johns, Casey Lewis, the run that he's had as a player over there for the Yellow Jackets? Or I mean, is it kind of like a storybook ending for Luke Delafield, kind of like the writings on the wall right there, huh?
Yeah, I think it's just a good matchup. These are two teams that both really like to run the ball. I mean, North DeSoto, you got 2 1,000-yard running backs in Kenny Thomas and Braylon Lattin. Kenny Thomas, 185 carries for 1,500 yards. Braylon Lattin, 172 carries for a little over 1,300 yards. 20, and they both have 20 touchdowns. Kenny Thomas is 21. Braylon Lattin has 26. Of course, we already mentioned Luke Delafield, but I think just really the heart and soul of this team is their 2 running backs, and they made Luke's job a little bit easier. I'm picking North DeSoto in this one. I think it'll be a close one. But my main concern right now with North DeSoto is, as great as his offense is, averaging 465 yards per game, averaging 465 yards and scoring 53.5 points per game. Their defense the last 2 weeks has been slacking. Their defense has been great all year. They've only allowed 16.6 points per game, but they've allowed 35 points in this last 2 meetings. They allowed 37 points to Franklinton, and they allowed 44 points against Plaquemine last week. So they've been playing with fire, right? And right now I'm pretty sure Iowa wants to play keep away from Luke Delafield, and why not? Of course, that offense, they like to move like this. Well, Iowa, yes, they do put up some numbers offensively. They're not going to move as fast as a North DeSoto squad, right? They like to run the ball. You got Javian Adams, 12, nearly 1,300 yards of rushing, 17 touchdowns. Caston Lewis has 515 yards and 12 touchdowns.
He's
And
been unstoppable the last couple.
by the way, he only has 37 carries on the year, and in the playoffs so
He's
far,
just going off.
he's had 30. And most of his carries have come in the playoffs. 32 carries for 235 yards and 7 touchdowns, and that's in 3 games, by the way, y'all. So,
Yeah.
I mean, really good. But also, you can't forget about Jeremiah Bushnell, the Houston commit.
Jeremiah Bushnell.
677 yards and 9 touchdowns. So I'm pretty sure Iowa's going to try to play keep away. I don't think you're going to see a high-scoring game. I think it's going to be along the lines of like a 35-28. But the thing is, the way North Dakota's been playing the last 2 weeks, it could be a shootout. But I'm going to pick North Dakota just because. And really, also, I need to mention this too. I forgot to mention this. 3rd time in the last 4 years, these guys have met in the playoffs. North Dakota beat them both times. North Dakota beat them in 2023. They may go to the Dome the first time with Luke Delfield when Iowa was the number 1 seed. Yeah. And then North Dakota beat them in 2023, 45-21 in 2023. Both those games were decided by 4 touchdowns or more. 4 touchdowns or more. Yeah, 4 touchdowns or more. So, it's going to be really – I think it's going to be a lot closer. I know a lot of those Iowa guys remember the those North Dakota games because they're on the team then. So it'd be 2022 and 2023. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So it'd be really interesting. I think this game would be close, but I think North Dakota edges it out. I just think they've been playing really good football, but defense. I'm kind of concerned about the defense. I don't think it's going to be North Dakota big, but right now I am concerned about their defense at the moment. But I got a lot of trust in Dennis Dunn and the work he's done and everywhere especially we all know about his time at Evangel. But I mean, he went to Louisiana Christian, did a great. Well, now it's Louisiana College. Well, no, it was Louisiana College. Now it's Louisiana Christian. But he did a great job at LCU after Evangel. Then he went back to high school ranks again. Did a little stint at Pineville before accepting the job in North Dakota. And what a job he has done for the Griffins. I think they finally get it done to end Luke Delfield's 4-year career.
Jace, there's something about this division, man, but the people come out the woodworks and chat all day about it. Well, last week it was the Plaquemine fans.
It's Division 2 non-select, man.
Iowa fans are out. They must have all it's so fun to see when the fans come out and they're commenting and stuff. And I didn't think the Plaquemine fans could be beat. But I mean, we've got North DeSoto fans in here. We've got Iowa fans saying
we got a lot of Iowa and North DeSoto fans right now.
I now know if we want to drum up some conversation, man, get the Division 2 non-select games going.
Hey, the South Plaquemine fans were killing us on the ball.
They were.
The Bayou.
Kudos to them for doing it.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, they proved us wrong each and every time.
We don't play about them boys in that purple and gold.
I love that. Continue to support your high school programs. I did the 2 minutes thing for all 9 out of the 10 weeks. And I always said at the end, go out and support your local high school. I don't care if you didn't even go to that high school. Go out and support those kids.
Go watch a game.
Go watch a game. Because, you look at everything that kind of happened in college football. We all know what the NFL has been over the last few years. And everything, it's become the wild, wild west. But you know what hasn't become the Wild Wild West yet? High school athletics. And that's why it's just so fun to watch every year. It's not even just football either. You go to a volleyball game. The one thing that I'll always remember about a volleyball game that Jason and Grant I was at Dunham against St. Michael earlier this year. 2 teams that made the state championship game, finished runner-ups. The score was 6-7, and the kids were going crazy. And all the parents on the side that I was reporting on were so confused. They're like, what's 6-7? What's the thing? And I was like, this is the beauty of high school sports. These student sections, they do some funny stuff. They do some stupid stuff sometimes, but they do some funny stuff. And those kids that night left it all out on the court. And even in the Cajun Dome, they continue to do it again. And on the cross-country course, we have kids who are falling over, losing shoes, and still finishing. And it's just so fun. And so that's why I continue to tell people, watch high school sports, support high school sports. And football is the biggest one of them all. But Iowa has had some good basketball teams. So go support Iowa basketball too. There you go. I'm off my thing now.
Amen. Hallelujah. Whatever you want to call it. This is exactly right. Well said there, Spencer. Well, before y'all picture for Iowa fans, put their pitchforks out for me. Just want to let you know I was on your side this whole way. I picked you to beat Northwest. I picked you to defeat Bell Chase. I mean, this whole playoff run, I was with the Yellow Jackets. But this is going to be, I think, this is going to be one of the best games in the Dome. I mean, this is going to be a great football game. Iowa, we talk about Jeremiah Bushnell and Caston. Yep, Rory says I'm cool. Thank you, Rory. I appreciate you, Rory, for sure, and Cody and all the Yellow Jacket fans out here, really do. But here's the thing, though.
He says all that to hype it all up just to pick against them.
I was cool for most of this playoff run, but it's going to be a great football game. I really like North DeSoto. You talk about Dennis Dunn. He was the coach for all those great Evangel teams that won state championships. And I'm really happy that Iowa, they're one of those teams that finally broke through that door, right? Finally went through the quarterfinals, and went through the semifinals to finally get through that point. And to get there to Dome is a huge accomplishment for this football program. Yep, Jason says you just made the wrong pick. Well, we're going to find out. We're going to find out on Thursday. But I just like experience in the Dome. I think both these two teams are well evenly matched. And to be honest with you, I think I just lean heavily towards that Dome experience. Just knowing where to go, knowing where to go out of, just going through that. Even though they went through it 3 years ago, you still went through that process. So I like a veteran quarterback, like coaches that's been there before. I know Iowa's got something to prove. I know they're still hungry, but something has to give. Both these two teams are great teams, two undefeated teams. Something has to give. Unfortunately, there's going to have to be a team that has to lose this football game. But I'm going to go with North DeSoto to win the state championship. And I think that experience just gives them a little bit of an edge. But I think this is going to be a great football game, or maybe they just know football. John David Murray, that's what North DeSoto guys. Maybe they just know football.
Fans not coming out the woodwork.
They're backing us up. So
I can tell you now, you might know a little bit about football, but if there's one thing about high school sports, anything can happen.
I mean, I love the trash talking here with the Iowa fans and North DeSoto. Nolan Joseph, he's another Iowa guy as well. Iowa will shock the world. Roy says the defense sucks. But we'll see. Something has to give here, but this is a great game. I don't know what is, Spencer. Division II non-select. That's always been the death of the conversation starter.
It's always been the chaos division because every year, it like without fail. Like, I mean, shoot, last year, 18 seed wins it. I mean, it wasn't really, Cecilia wasn't an 18 seed in our mind, but like Opelousas wins it all the year prior. I think that Opelousas winning in the Dome kind of set off the craziness thing because they went in the Dome, and then the next year we're like, oh, Cecilia's an 18 seed, but I bet they'll be in the Dome. Sure enough, they end up in the Dome. I'm just like, this year, we don't get no 18 seeds. We get 1v2, but even then, it's like, who at the start of the year really had North DeSoto? Well, I guess everyone had North DeSoto, but like who really had Iowa at the start of the year? So I mean, it's fun to watch. But yeah, this game being at noon is going to be fun. And I think this whole day is really fun to get into the next one too.
Yep, absolutely. Well, this has been a fun debate, but we also got other games to go through. So we went to Division II.
The Iowa fans have clicked off so fast.
Yeah, there goes the Iowa fans.
Division III non-select, Jace. Please lay in the schedule.
All right, Division III non-select. That'll be the
this
next
game's going to be over in an hour.
Yep. We got, again, comment. Appreciate that, Cody. Appreciate you tuning in. And Caston Lewis, I know he's actually one of our guys for Gridiron Football Player of the Week. So keep on voting. Keep on voting for Cat. I know he's one of the guys we have in the running. All right, so here we go. Gina Sterlington, another 1 versus 2. You think we hit more, of the double-digit Cinderella teams. We won't talk about one later in the show, but we have a lot of 1 versus 2 matchups. We have Gina and Sterlington, kind of like Iowa. They've always been kind of knocking around the door, quarterfinals, semifinals. But Jay Roark has done a great job with that team, with that program. And they got two great running backs in Wilson and Hatcher. And you talk about Sterlington as well. J-Rob Breen, what a performance he had against St. James. I think he scored 5 touchdowns against St. James, and being able to run the football. We know Sterlington can always run the football, but being able to throw the football, that makes them really dangerous team, Sterlington team. So a well-rounded, once again, overall team. I mean, Grant and I talked about a lot last year that we could have seen a lot of St. James and Sterlington maybe in the Dome or semis, but again, they played in the semifinals. Sterlington gets through St. James to set up that Gina matchup. But hey, once again, experience is a big thing. Lee Doty's been coaching in the Superdome plenty of times. Jay Roark, this was first trip. This is his first time in the state championship game. So who you going with, Spencer? You going with the fresh blood, or are you going with the more experienced team, more experienced program in these big Superdome games?
Well, I want to start and congratulate Gina on making the trip to the Dome for the first time. Jay Roark's done a great job with that program. And the way that they did it, being able to dominate a Union squad that in 2023 kind of had them beat at their place. And I just think they've played really well this year. At the start of the year, I was a little concerned with Gina's defense. And it's no secret. Jay was too. They allowed a lot of points, but I think that defense has slowly gotten better and better and better. And that kind of culminated. They only allowed 6 points to Union, and Union's a team that it's a good benchmark of how good your defense or your kind of physicality is. Because if you aren't physical with them, they will absolutely take you to the woodshed. But you turn around, you beat Union, and then you got to turn around, you got to play the team that knocked you out last year and pretty dominantly knocked them out. That's Sterlington. And talking, these are two schools that I made stops at on my little Northeast Louisiana tour. Talking with Sterlington, Lee Doty, just continuing to do great things with that program. Coming into the year, actually, Sterlington, they played against Evangel, and they kind of destroyed them everywhere. And I was talking with Lee a couple of days after that, and he's like, we have a lot to fix and a lot to clean up because we won it all last year, but this is a new team this year. Mm-hmm. And sure enough, after the semifinal win, he's got his fur coat on, the captain's hat on, looking great as always. They continue to do great things. And I think the thing that stands out to me most about Sterlington this year, that O-line is probably the best in the state. Like, they are absolutely moving bodies. And I just think that's, like, honestly, I say it a lot that this game's going to be decided in the trenches. This game literally will be decided in the trenches. Because that's how it makes both these teams go. And I think Gina's line has gotten a lot better. Coach Roark said it starts tight end to tight end. We got to be perfect in that area. If you're not perfect for this game, you might end up losing it because you're not perfect. But right now, I think both teams return a lot from last year's team. I would say that both teams definitely take leaps forward. This is going to be great to see Gina in the Dome. I think the whole parish has closed every school in the parish. So, that's going to – I think there'll be a good crowd for it. Obviously, Sterlington always brings a great crowd. I'm going to go with the Panthers, though, just because they're on a roll right now. Their defense is playing really well, too. I just think they'll be able to get some stops. They'll be able to be physical. And they're going to take home another state championship, which would be great, But it's going to be great to see both these teams playing here. It's a great chance for Northeast Louisiana to they're bringing the banner down. So, Sterlington.
So we got Coach Lee Doty and the Panthers winning the state championship for Spencer. What about you, Grant? I know you've always been high on Sterlington the last couple of years. Lee Doty's definitely built a powerhouse right now up there at Sterlington.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, last year he called his team the masterpiece, and for good reason. I mean, they great at running the ball, and they also going to have a lot of dudes coming back for the next couple of years. Like we said, St. James and Sterlington is going to rule Division III. If you want to win Division III non-select, you have to go through St. James and Sterlington. In this case, we thought both those teams were going to meet up in the state championship. However, both those teams are 2 and 3, so they had to meet each other in the semifinal. So I'm looking at my dog, who's like 6 years old, making sure she's all right. She's like spazzing out over here, but yeah, man. I'm outside, by the way. If you guys have just tuned it in, but I mean, this game will be decided in the trenches. I mean, I know it sounds cliche, but both these teams like to run the ball. They both have ran for over 4,000 yards as a team, right?
Yeah.
Sterlington, we all know they like to run the ball. They have rushed, for a lot of yards as well. I'm actually pulling up their stats. So I know for Gina, at least, they got Cedric Wilson, who's rushed for 2,061 yards,
Yeah.
averaging 9.3 yards per carry. And you got Daniel Hatcher, 192 carries, 1,777 yards, 25. By the way, Cedric Wilson scored 31 touchdowns. Daniel Hatcher scored 25 touchdowns. Both those guys averaged 9.3 yards per carry. Daniel Hatcher's longest run was 86. Cedric Wilson's longest run was 96. So they definitely like to run the ball. You also have a pretty good receiver in Sadrian Cooper, who's at 892 yards. Catches, by the way, averaging 24.1 yards per reception, and that's what happens when you have a team that likes to run the ball. All of a sudden they pass, and you got a great receiver like Zadrian Cooper, 892 yards with 13 touchdowns. So great wide receiver there. And then if you look at Sterlington, of course, we all know about Sterlington, how experienced they are. Sterlington, they're averaging, they've had 5,165 total yards. Most of us come on the ground, 4,143. You got TJ Birch, who had 1,341 yards. And then you have we got 5 guys who've had at least 300 yards of rushing. So this is a team that likes to run the ball, kind of like the stereotype of all the schools up north that they like to, at least in the northeast side of the state, they like to run the ball, and there's no secret there. Don't fix what's not broken, right?
Right.
Of course. And but I got thrown this way. I think I value experience. These guys did it last year. I think you're going because of Gina squad. I think it's a really good squad. I think this game could be close. But I just think that, with Sterlington, the way they've been playing football, I mean, they beat the living crap out of St. James last week. I mean, what was the final score? 63-24, right? And you would think that game would be closer. And that's a great St. James team as well, who's returning a lot of players as well. So the fact that they're able to limit them to 24 points while also scoring 63 is pretty incredible. But I got Sterlington winning that one. And no pressure on Gina, kind of similar to Iowa, where they're the only team from the 337. Gina is the only team from Senlaw in the state championship, so no pressure there.
No pressure.
But you go, but you finally made it. But hey, you got to go because the Sterlington team that's very experienced. I'm not saying Gina cannot win it, but Sterlington has been here, done it before. This is a team that is truly an incredible team. They like to run the ball. Same thing with Gina, but I just think I value experience. I value Lee Doty. This is his masterpiece. A lot of the guys from that masterpiece last year are back this year. So last year they did a Mona Lisa. This year, I don't know, they might do Midnight in Paris. Who knows?
There you go. Well, you just talked about this was kind of like last year. Remember that you didn't know, you knew what Sterlington was going to do. You just didn't know what back is going to get the ball. They had like 4 or 5 different running backs that all scored and all made a difference, made an impact in the running game. And Sterlington, as long as I can remember, this wasn't when Lee Doty was on the staff, but I think it was Coach Thompson at the time. But they played against a Mass and Prep team that was much bigger, much more athletic. And you look at the eye test, he thought Mass and Prep would win that game. But Sterlington just dominated that game and up front in the trenches. And I think that's what it's going to come down to, what Spencer said earlier. Talk about the many guys and I think it's going to be a difference when you have that many backs. So you just talked about Grant. You know how fresh all these guys can be. You can just put them in there and, they're not going to lose a step. Meanwhile, Gina, they got 2 great backs in Wilson and Hatcher, but, you can wear them down. So I think that's going to be a big difference. The depth in the running game is going to be a huge, huge difference in this game. And you look at Sterlington, man, they have like 100 players on their sideline. I mean, you just look at before the game. I mean, they are absolutely loaded. And like I said plenty of times before, that experience in the Dome is going to mean a whole lot. And, obviously Sterlington's a more experienced team here in the Dome playing state championship games under Lee W. So that being said, I think Gina, this is a really great first step for them to finally get to this point, to get to the Superdome. And I think they'll learn a lot of valuable lessons on the way. But I think Sterlington is going to win this game where they've won state championships and won games before, and that's up front. And I'm going to go with the Sterlington Panthers. So far, kind of boring on our end because I think we agree with everything, all of our picks so far. We'll see if anybody goes against each other. But that will be the second game on Friday. That will be the 3:30 game. So Sterlington, Gina, we got Sean Daigle commenting here with Sterlington. He's got Sterlington. So far a sweep for Sterlington over Gina. And now let's talk about the finale, the nightcap on day 2, and that is Division II Select. And we have St. Charles Catholic against Archbishop Shaw. We go and preview this game. These are Archbishop Shaw, the defending state champions in this bracket in Division II Select. Meanwhile, forget, like we said a lot on this show, forget about what happened last year for St. Charles Catholic. That was a fluke. They are back, and they are rolling once again under Wayne Stein, and we know what kind of team, what kind of program not only Wayne Stein has built, but his uncle Frank Monica has built as well at St. Charles Catholic. But Hank Tierney, once again, he's one of the greatest high school coaches as well of all time, and he's trying to repeat as state champions. I mean, you talk about two of the best coaches out there in the state, Wayne Stein, and you talk about Hank Tierney as well. A little bit of a different team this year for Shaw, but still effective and getting it done. Obviously, they had those great offensive players last year. They've been winning a lot more with their defense this year. And St. Charles Catholic still playing that branded Comets football. So something has to give here between St. Charles Catholic and Archbishop Shaw. We have Braden Bailey already with his pick. He's got St. Charles Catholic. Go Comets. So, Spencer, who we got? We got the number 1 seed. We got another state championship for Wayne Stein, getting back to the state championship groove, or will we have Archbishop Shaw?
Well, I'll tell you what, Jace, this is a coaching matchup and a half. You've got Wayne Stein, who's obviously done some really good things at St. Charles Catholic. You've got the man himself, Hank Tierney, at Archbishop Shaw, who I think this is probably one of the more surprising, and I think Hank would agree, and I think he did agree after that game I covered on last Friday against Vanderbilt. He said, I think this is probably the more surprising teams. I don't think when you graduate 17 out of 22 starters, it's going to be surprising that you end up back in the Dome next year. But I think it just speaks a lot to how this team kind of came together. I think after those last 2 games of the year, I think they probably said to themselves, hey, look, we're not playing our best ball right now. I think they all kind of stepped in and stepped up. And this defense for Shaw is really, really good. You've got playmakers all over the field for them. You've got good linebackers, good line play. I'm really high on Shaw's defense. Now, their offense has definitely struggled, and they struggled. And obviously, the weather conditions just sucked. I can tell you that.
Oh, yeah,
you got soaked out there. But the weather conditions weren't great to allow a passing game. It was pretty much just steadily raining throughout the day. But they had as Hank called him, the Mighty Mouse at quarter or at running back, and DeAndre. I think it's DeAndre Franklin. I think his name is. He's done really well for them. So, but then you got St. Charles on the other side, who I think when big time, you talk about big time players make big time plays when it matters most. Big time programs can do that too. Yep. When U High scores a touchdown, you're like, oh, they kicked the extra point, they're probably gonna go to the Dome. And then they blocked it, right? Was it blocked or was it missed?
I think it was missed.
Okay, well, then take everything out. Big time players make big time plays when it matters. They went into overtime and ended up doing it anyway. The Comets, man, they look so good this year. Mm-hmm. I don't know though. The tough part is we talked about it a lot, and we're going to talk about it for the next 3 games.
It was blocked.
It was blocked. See, Jason, you made me think.
Yeah. There you go.
Big time programs make big time plays when it matters most. Yeah. Thank you, Wax. It's all good.
It is all good.
That's funny because a couple years ago in 2023, St. Charles actually blocked field goal that would have put U High in the lead in the first overtime, and then U High won it. Oh, not U High, St. Charles won on a field goal to end it in overtime. So very similar situation. Although that game was way more lower scoring. Like that game was like a 17-14 game, whatever.
Yeah.
I covered that in the rain. That's the game that Chase sent me to.
That's right.
You sent me that. It's like, all right, you either you added because I think you went to which game you go to? You went to, I think you went to Acadiana and when it was Shaw. I think it was Shaw and somebody else.
Yeah. It's been. Let's see. That was.
I think it was Cecilia. I think it was Cecilia in Northwest.
That's right.
Oh, it
it was Cecilia Northwest because Spencer was there too.
You had to go drive to Cecilia.
And then the next
to get internet.
That game was 10-7. That's right. It was low scoring, 10-7.
And then the next day, I remember we had to. You gave me Zachary and Dushan. You had I wanted to cover Catholic and Rummel, right?
Yep.
For that was when they kind of stopped in the the weirdly stopped in third quarter or whatever because of the rain. And then it was like I wanted to cover that. I was like, all right, no, go to that one. I was like, okay, yeah, sure. And that's when the crazy Zachary comeback happened. So. Chase always gets the duds. I get the drama.
Yeah.
He
get the dramatic game.
I get the thrillers.
Oh yeah. Speaking of that, guys, I saw a stat that says St. Charles Catholic has blocked over 100 kicks in the last 13 years. That is pretty impressive stat to pull off for sure. But similar fashion as far as St. Charles Catholic finding a way to win that game in overtime against U High, and now you got Archbishop Shaw. So,
anyway, back to my pick. Everyone's here just waiting for my pick, our picks. So I this is going to be fun to watch. Like I was talking about, three district rematches we're going to have in the Dome. This is the first of the three that we'll see. I just think the first game, St. Charles obviously won 24-0. It was one of those games where Shaw couldn't score a point.
Right.
I just see a tough road for Shaw to win this game. You've got to really go through a lot. So give me St. Charles. I don't think we've disagreed on a game yet.
No, we haven't.
That's not looking good, guys.
Yeah, it's not really looking
like
good.
That the rest of the way. Yeah.
Not looking good, guys. Someone pick Shaw. All right, I'll pass on to Grant. But yeah, give me St. Charles. I think it'll be closer than last time. Yeah, give me the comments.
Does Shaw score after last time?
Yes.
It was like
they'll score.
No score. All right, Grant. You got so Shaw. Trying to repeat as state champions. I'm sure what JB is going to be going with this game. Yeah. But talk about St. Charles Catholic and Shaw, and this is a team, man. They've been really good defensively this year. Somebody made a comment. Yeah, they confused Elijah Haven. He threw about, I think, back-to-back with pick sixes for St. Charles Catholic to win that football game this year. And and this has been an offense that struggled as of late for Shaw. This could be I would say probably hit the under if you're going to pick. I don't know what the over-under is in this game, but talk about St. Charles Catholic and Shaw, and you think could be another state title for Wayne Stein?
Yeah, I do think so. I think St. Charles will win this game. I think this will be one of the quickest game. The previous two, I think there's going to be a lot of score. I think there's going to be a good bit of scoring. This one, I think, is going to be lower scoring because both these teams like to run the ball. They both like to play good defense. I mean, we all know about St. Charles and Wayne Stein. I've always said that Wayne Stein's one of the best defensive strategists in our state. He's always known to frustrate even the best offenses. Dunham has only scored less than 40 points once, and that was in their 27-21 loss to St. Charles at the beginning of the year. I think I saw a comment pop up. They played against Kayshawn Henderson, the number one quarterback in the country, and Elijah Haven also. Kayshawn Henderson is the number one quarterback in the class of 2026, and Elijah Haven for 2027, and they shut them down. It's a very disciplined St. Charles defense. I mean, St. Charles is a very disciplined team. They don't make many mistakes, and if they do make mistakes, you better capitalize off of them because they don't make many, right? And the issue with Shaw right now, as great as Shaw's defense is, and that's a huge credit to Adam Giglio, their defensive coordinator, of course, huge fan, Satchel family, huge fans of Gig. Of course, he was a defensive coordinator for my little Noah for that 2020 undefeated team, and did a great job with Brother Mar, and now he's carried over that to Shaw. And Shaw, I mean, has become one of the best defenses in the state year in the last 2 seasons. And also Hank, of course, we're big fans of Hank as well, because Hank's been around for a while. Hank's been great to me in my career, and always helpful whenever I need information from the Shaw Eagles. Also, coached against my dad, always teases that my dad was the best quarterback in the Catholic League, not named Mickey Joseph. And so
yeah.
And by the way, my dad and Mickey Joseph are really close too. But also, but I respect both coaches. I think both coaches are great. Both coaches are awesome. Also, 2 great coaching trees, right?
Yeah.
I mean, Tierney. I just want to listen to that because we all know about Stein. Of course, Stein is Frank Monica's nephew,
right,
and everything. He comes with the Frank Monica coaching tree. Of course, we got Nick Monica, got Lee Russell. They got pretty good. I think what's his name also coached there. I think Dwayne Jenkins may have coached at St. Charles. Maybe I could be, but he's got pretty decent, good sized coaching tree. But here's Hank Tierney's. Darren Barbier.
Yep.
Jay Roth.
Yep.
Walter Scoble. Marcus Scott. Mark Sanji, Lou Bowden. I mean, and also the Josephs. We are, Mickey Joseph, head coach of Grambling, Vance Joseph, the head coach of the Broncos. I mean, he's got a hell of a coaching tree. Probably
he does. Both of them do.
You can make a case that Hank Tierney probably has the best coaching tree in Louisiana high school history. You could make a solid case for it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Scott Barnes' father, who succeeded him at Shaw. Went to lost the 3 straight. He led the Eagles to 3 straight state championships. I mean, he's got a hell of a coaching tree, man. But 2 great coaches. But I think St. Charles wins this one. Shaw has had issues offensively all year. Although they've improved in the playoffs, I just don't know it's enough yet where I could be like, okay, they're gonna beat St. Charles. I think they'll score. I don't think they're gonna get shut out, but I just don't trust the offense because the offense really has not come up big. Yeah, I mean they came up big against Loyola Prep, but I mean I would like to see them doing it against another top defense like a St. Charles.
Yeah, I mean it's just really hard to score against St. Charles Catholic, and we talk about those quarterbacks. I know we had the comment about how they fared against the number 1 quarterback in 2026 and 2027, but they've had Arch Manning's number as well. I mean, when he was the number 1 quarterback in the country. So, I mean, it's just really hard. Like, you're going to have to out-execute. You can be a more talented team and all that, but at the end of the day, like, they're not going to make mistakes. You're just going to have to earn it. You're just going to have to be the better team, and you're going to have to be more well-coached team. And it's just really hard to beat St. Charles Catholic because of that. They're not going to lose a game. You're going to have to go out and earn it. You're going to have to go out and beat them. And in St. Charles Catholic, I think this year they played against some really good offenses, and you talk about it. And we said Wax is all good. Can you give a score for the Shaw versus St. Charles game? I'm sure we can go over the score real quick, but for everybody. But it's going to be just hard for Shaw to score. We talked about how this year they failed. I mean, the last 2 games of the season they failed to score. We talk about Archbishop Shaw, and they found a way. I mean, the defense has really helped them get to this point, and they've done a great job. I think this is one of the best coaching jobs Coach Tierney's had, especially with all the guys they lost on offense, key guys, obviously the playmakers, and Parker and Washington and Mason Wilson at their quarterback, but still find a way to get to this point, to get to the Dome. And it's going to be a low-scoring game, but I just trust St. Charles Catholic's offense more. Skylar Edwards, Landry LeBlanc, those guys. So give me St. Charles Catholic. It's going to be a low-scoring game. I have to admit, it's probably going to be like I don't know, what do you think, a 17-13, 17-10 type of game?
I would err on the side of caution, and probably my bet. I'm terrible at picking the score.
7.
Everyone know now before I look like an idiot. I would probably say like 24-7, maybe. I think 24. That number they scored in the first game is really close to what I would pick now. I could see it going to be like a 14-7 game though. But For the people who want to watch, I want to make sure that people watch. And I think if I say 14-7, some people might go, "I'm not watching that."
You like good defenses, depending who you're asking. Grant,
Some fans are defense. Some fans are not fans of the defense.
I don't know. This is Louisiana, man. I think they like defense. I think it just depends. I think if the offenses are playing bad, that's one thing. All right, there's a difference between seeing a great defensive game plan from both sides, compared to let's just say a really bad game of offensive football. I think those are two different things. Right, yeah. Exactly. For example, Ohio State, Indiana. Everyone was glued to the screen for that game. Everyone kind of knew it was going to be a low-scoring game because you had two of the best defenses in the country, right? People want to see, people don't mind watching.
Rustin and Destrehan a couple years ago when Destrehan won the state championship, that was just great defenses playing in, really.
Right, exactly. So I think it's not going to scare anybody off. These are two great defenses. Like I said, these are two of the best defenses in the state. Adam Gigley does a great job calling the defensive plays. Wayne Stein does a great job of calling the defensive plays. You can see two really great defensive play callers going against games. It's just a matter of which offense can overcome that tough defense. And St. Charles has shown that they can do that. When you have a guy like Landon LeBlanc, who's a really good quarterback, you also have a great running back like Skylar Edwards. I think they can get it done. Can Shaw's playmakers step up, and that's and they're kind of hurting. You don't have the Jacob Washington, you don't have the Jasper Parker, you don't have the Mason Wilson. And Mason Wilson was a very solid quarterback in that spread option type of offense. So they, it's gonna be very interesting. Alan Shaw, who by the way, I'm talking about Red. He's a great basketball player, by the way. But in football field, 816 yards, 11 touchdowns, kind of what I expect from a quarterback in this offense.
Sure.
But they don't really have that breakout running back. I think they're missing a guy like Jasper Parker. Jasper Parker was a hell of a running back. I just think that it's a lot to replace, probably one of the best running backs the school's seen in a little bit, right? But what we do know is they have a really great defense. I just don't think they have enough playmakers to overcome a St. Charles defense.
Yeah, I can definitely see. I mean, Scour is another player that's going to be playing in our bowl game at the end of the year. I can definitely see a factor for this team. Definitely the bell cow for the Comets football team this year. And before we go to break, our final break of the night, kind of the same question I asked earlier, guys, about day two. As we broke down the games and gave our score predictions here. But for each of you, what game to you are you most excited about on their second day lineup?
North DeSoto, Iowa.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, same here. It's a third time they've met in the last 4 years. This time's for a state championship. Iowa lost North DeSoto won the first two meetings. Both of them were blowouts. And one of them kind of kick-started the rise of North DeSoto, of course, when North DeSoto went up to came down to Iowa and beat them 38-9 in the semifinals, advanced to their first state championship game in program history. That game will be very interesting. But I will say this. The game that the LHAA is the most excited for is the last game. Why? Because they're two New Orleans area schools, right? Yep. And you're going to see a lot of people from Shaw because it's on a Friday night. So, you're going to see a lot of Shaw people there. You're going to see a lot of St. Charles people there. I think it's just kind of timed out perfectly. I think the schedule just kind of timed out perfectly because you got the last game on Friday is between two New Orleans area schools, and we already know about the big one on Saturday. We're going to get to that after the break, though.
Absolutely. A great segue into our break, into our sponsor, Tommy's Windows. Talk about award-winning Angie Award winners since 2016 for the Super Service Awards. That tells you everything that you need to know about Tommy's Windows. Give them a call because things happen. Windows break, doors break. So make sure to give them a call to get your fixings there. 225-250-8808. Give them a call today. Get reliable siding, door, or window installation service. Or you can go to gotommies.com. We'll be right back. We'll talk about the big boys to wrap the show up. Division I non-select and select after the commercial break.
Siding, locally owned and operated with over 20 years experience and dedicated to providing you with affordable options to transform any home or business. So call today, 225-250-8808. Go Tommy's, and you'll see the difference clearly. Doors and Siding, locally owned and operated with over 20 years experience and dedicated to providing you with affordable options to transform any home or business. So call today, 225-250-8808. Go Tommy's, and you'll see the difference clearly. Tommy's Windows, Doors, and Siding, locally owned and operated with over 20 years experience and dedicated to providing you with affordable options to transform any home or business. So call today, 225-250-8808. Go Tommy's, and you'll see the difference clearly.
Welcome back, guys. Getting everybody back on here for our final segment here, and that is day 3 of the LHSAA Prep Classic, and it's the big boys. Time to talk about Division 1, and we're going to start off with Division 1 non-select first. And we have a bunch of rematches here. We talk about Division 1 non-select and select, and probably some bragging rights here maybe throughout the course of the day. What district's better? Is it 2-5A or the Catholic League? Well, both of them will show out on the final day. So
Didn't last year's Division 1 select kind of sealed the deal for everybody that the Catholic League was the best district in the league? I'm just saying.
yeah, for sure.
I'm just saying, man.
Okay, the Catholic League has the better top-end team.
But you're talking about depth too. I mean,
We all knew last year the Catholic League had the best team, and we all know this year the Catholic League have the best team would beat every
but
team.
Do all their teams, Matt? If you do like the SEC, ACC challenge, kind of like a challenge, like what division, what district will have the better record? That's something you got to think about too.
You got to think about that, and you got to think about the. Well, I don't want to think about the bottom of the bottom. Going all the way down. Pineville's down on their luck this year, but I hear they've got some.
Pineville versus
because the top 3 teams are you got Carr, you got St. Aug, you got Curtis, but then also Brother Martin can shock some people. That's the thing, I just think that you got Brother Martin, Jesuit, and Rummel that all beat each other up because they're all really good. Like what we all know about Rummel. I just think that with District 2 5A. I just think that, of course, I think Rustin, Neville, and Ash are kind of like
each other up too.
Right. And then you got Westboro and Washita. I think I think top 3 are very similar. I think just when you get to the bottom, who's better. But I think the edge will go to the Catholic League because I think Brother Martin, Rummel, and Jesuit. I think especially Brother Martin, Rummel, and Jesuit. I think they're better than the bottom schools. I think that's my opinion.
Sign me up for that.
Catholic League homer, by the way.
I know. I sound like
when Jason Catholic.
I sound like a homer, but I just think that when Brother Martin has a guy like Easton Royal, right? Like, yeah, I think the guy
has Ahmad Hudson.
Hey, man.
Western Row has Trey Davis.
Yeah, Trey Davis.
I'm talking about the mid tier. We're talking about that. We already kind of agreed that the top 3 are very similar, but I'm talking about the middle. Once you get to the middle, who is better?
Look, I'll get in contact with all the coaches from each of those and see if we can.
Hey, man.
Let's sell it.
The first week of the year, just have
that's what
District
I'm
2 5A
and
the Catholic League play each other in New Orleans to kick everything off.
Whoa. You play it in New Orleans and you move it up to North Louisiana.
That's where the dome is.
Let's do a Tiger Stadium.
We're doing a neutral site. Let's make it a big deal. Let's have big
neutral site.
He said neutral site, and then he picked a site that will never let anyone play a high school football game there.
Of course. We got to do it right, Spencer. We got to make it big.
It's like imagine the Bayou Jam, but bigger.
Yeah. We have to start this off the season next year with and let the bragging rights begin there. So
have some Jello shot challenges, man. Hey, North versus South Jello shot challenges. Let's do it. I think that's a great idea.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
No, this is high school sports, guys. High school sports.
Hey, man, this is also Louisiana high school football. We do little things differently.
It's different down here.
Okay, it's different.
It's different down
here. Hey, man,
let's talk about the 2-5A side of things first. So let's talk about Division 1 non-select first. And it shows you're making argument why this district is deeper because you have Washita coming as the number 14 seed. And really Washita, maybe not the 4th or 5th team you think about in this district, but Washita they've been that type of year, what type of team that they're better than their record indicates. I mean, 3 of their 4 losses this year were by 1 touchdown or less, including that Ruston rematch from earlier this year. And speaking of Ruston, 4 straight trips to the Superdome. Jared Ball is definitely building a power at Ruston. This is definitely the goal. And Ruston has some great years under Coach Childress in the early 90s and making a run there in the late 80s. But this might be the golden era of Ruston football. 4 straight state championship appearances. It's pretty tough to say because of how great those early 90 teams were and late 80 teams were. But Ruston trying to go for their second state championship in 4 years, and we know how it ended last year. And then they're trying to get the bad taste out of their mouth after the blowout loss to Central last year. Meanwhile, Washita doesn't really feel like a Cinderella team because they lost to Ruston by a touchdown earlier this year, and they've been right there with those tough district teams. So, and it doesn't feel like they're going to be intimidated by Ruston. They defeated Destrehan. They beat Neville on this run. So, Spencer, are we going to go with the underdog here in Washita, or does Ruston get some revenge of what happened last year?
Well, I think there's a lot of things motivating both these teams. You kind of mentioned it, Ruston. I went and literally talked to the players and coaches yesterday, and they're like, "Yeah, the way last year ended, it sucked, and that hurt to walk off the field like that." And obviously, they graduated a lot of people from that senior class, and everyone was kind of like, "Hey, is Ruston maybe going to be on the downtick now? Like, probably going to start maybe." You talk about cycles on the non-select side of things. Like, is the cycle going to start now that they just aren't going to be as good? But this senior class and this group has really stuck together and said, we're not going to let that happen. I think they've kind of, helped set the standard for what Ruston football is going to be. But, you talk about district rematches, and you talk about who's on the other side of the bracket, and a team that I think if you said at the start of the year, Washita Parish would be in the state championship game, I think a lot of people would probably be a little surprised. If you said at the start of the playoffs, less people would be surprised.
Yeah.
But I think Washita has really, really picked it up here recently. And I asked Benji, what he kind of thought the difference was. And he said it's just kind of the senior class and understanding. I think they kind of realized there was a sense of urgency to it all. Like, this is, if you lose now, it's the last high school game you'll ever play. And for some of those guys, they're not going to play college ball. So I think that's kind of been a driving factor. I think this game's going to be close just because of the way that Washita is. No matter who they're playing against, they're probably going to keep it close. They only beat Parkway by 6. They beat Neville by 7. They were close with Destrehan. I'm going back and forth in my head right now, Jason. Part of me really just wants to punt to see what you guys pick. Mm-hmm. I just think the way they're playing right now, man. I'm gonna go with O Block.
Okay.
I'm gonna go with Washita here. Okay. I just think they're really playing well, and we talk a lot about storybook things, and I just think right now they're kind of like a fairy tale. But it's just fun to watch. But I wouldn't be surprised either way. But I knew that if I picked Ruston, we all would probably be on Ruston. And then we all have the same picks throughout the show. So this is going to be my pick to be the difference maker.
Time to do it.
So I'm either going to win the championship or I'm going to finish dead last.
Well, that's the way to do it.
Last, as Ricky Bobby would say. So.
That's right. That's right. Wise words from Ricky Bobby there. And the difference was 21-14. So that was the first regular season matchup with Ruston.
That's what it came down to. It was a blocked punt that Ruston blocked, and that ended up being the difference.
But, they were right there. And another guy, Grant is a big-time Division I guy. Dylan Berryman for Washita as well. Ruston trying to, block a guy like that offensively. But – we got Washita and the way that they're playing right now. They're feeling really confident, obviously, with the playoff run that they've had. And they in their minds they feel like, oh, we can play with Ruston, so we're not going to be intimidated. Intimidation is not going to be a thing. We'll talk about this game, but we talk about Ruston and Washita. I know Ruston. The one thing I'm sure Coach Ball is going to preach to them about is what happened last year, and they're going to change everything that they did last year. Prior to approaching that turf, Grant, they're going to do everything opposite of what they did last year prior to going to the turf in the Superdome. But here, What do you think? Do you think Ruston gets a sweep over Ouachita? Because a touchdown was the difference last time.
Here's the thing. I'm gonna say this. Last year was a really close game. Ouachita lost. 22-21 last season. I think it was kind of similar circumstances. I think they had like a blocked extra point, or they missed an extra point. Mm-hmm. Something happened there, but it was a very close game. This year, it was another close game as well. Of course, Spencer already kind of talked about it, but once again, it was a very. I mean, really, all the losses that Ouachita had. I mean, none of them weren't blowouts. I mean, all of them were really close. I mean, Ruston lost. I mean, what? Yeah. Ouachita beat a loss against Ruston 21-14. They lost against West Monroe
by 14.
25. But they lost against Neville by 1 point, and they lost against Alexandria by a touchdown. So they had four really tough, 4 losses in a row, but all 4 were, it was 4 tough losses, and you also play against in a really tough district. But you go on you go play Santa Mom, you beat Santa Mom, then you beat Destrehan, right? I believe that was I believe Destrehan was also on the road too. On the road, they went to beat Parkway on the road. Last week they beat Neville. So. And I think, I always say it's really hard to beat a team twice. And that's a cliche. And, the last 2 meetings between Ouachita and Ruston have been really close. And the way that Ouachita has been playing, I mean, they got it rolling. I mean, the Connor kid got 2,000 yards, 31 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. They got 2 running backs. Connor's also run for damn near 1,000 yards. You got another running back that's rushed for 1,700 yards. So they got it going offensively, and then of course they got some players on the outside as well. And then, of course, you got to mention the defense, right? We already talked about Dylan Berryman. Dylan Berryman, of course, is decommitted to Texas. Apparently, he's in the running to get an offer. LSU might have a chance to grab him up, but they got a solid defense as well. I'm going to go with O-Block. I thought I was originally picking Ruston, but when I got the stats back and everything, I'm looking at, I'm just looking at everything. I'm like, this is a district matchup. And the last 2 meetings between these schools have been really close. I think Ouachita gets it done. I think it'll be a very close game, expected to be close. I think they get it done. They're hot right now. I think Ruston, they expect to be there. They expect to win, and rightfully so. But when you got a Ouachita team that's hungry, and one of the biggest things when you're dealing with a team like Ouachita who hasn't been to the Dome in more than 30 years, right? 31 years. The last time they went was 1994. When you have a team that hasn't been in a while, how will they react to it? Will they come off hot, kind of like what happened with Central last year when they had a long drought, or are they just excited to be there? We'll see early on. Are they will they start off hot? Like they're really excited to be there, or they're just happy to be there. Excited. They're ready to go. They're locked in. Right. They're ready to knock some heads loose. Or they're just kind of like, we're in the Dome. We finally made it. Yay. And then, stuff happens. Right. So I think it determines how Ouachita comes out. But I think Ouachita will come off hot. And I think they'll get the job done. Hopefully Ruston doesn't have a situation last year where they start off slow, they can come back. It's the way Ruston's offense works. It's not an offense where they can go bang, 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 bang. Mm-hmm. It's kind of like a process. And if that process gets knocked loose, it kind of goes all right. That's what we saw with Central last year. Even though Central didn't have a great offense last year, Central struggled throughout the year on the offside of the ball. They were rolling because they were hot, and they're rolling, but Ruston was kind of, they got knocked off. Oh, not knocked off, but what the word I'm looking for, they just weren't in rhythm. And when Ruston isn't in rhythm, that's what you saw last year Central. But I don't think it's going to happen here, but I think Ouachita will win, but in a very, very, very close game.
Well, I gotta mix it up, guys. I gotta go with Ruston, baby. I gotta go with the Bearcats. Yeah, I mean, I have to go against sometime. So this has
Oh,
to
I thought I was gonna go against it, and that's why as soon as Grant picked Washita, I was like, maybe people are riding the Washita train down. I was like, maybe Jace picks Washita. I might need to switch to Ruston, but now you split the vote.
Yeah.
This is
I'm
the
gonna
only
win this
game we
thing.
disagree on.
I gotta win this thing.
Dang
So
it.
either I'm last or I'm first. So
It's all
there
right.
you
I'm
go.
mostly tracking the total playoff day. So if I won in the quarterfinals, and I can win in the finals here, that's a good season, especially just against Jace.
Oh yeah, that's the main thing, right? But I'm gonna go with Rustin, and I think that's getting drilled and drilled and drilled about what happened last year, getting off to that slow start. So I think Rustin's gonna be a more focused team going out because of what happened last year. And these are two teams, and they know both of these two teams know each other really well. Let's just say that Washita's playing one of the highest teams in the state. But Ruston is just a complete team when they're on front. So I think the key, what Grant said, was to get a good start, and I think they're going to be razor focused because of what happened last year and how that game got away from them early. So I think they're going to be ready for it. If Ruston's one of those teams, right, when they're behind, it's tough, but when they're ahead, it's tough to beat them. And I think this really start to the game and how they approach that start, I think it's gonna be a new approach for Ruston. And I think that game, what happened last year, really motivates them. So I think they want to get it done. I think Ahmad Hudson is 6'7", right? 6'7" receiver. Throw it up to him and let him do his thing. So give me the Bearcats, baby. Give me Coach Ball. And the Bearcats getting it done. I love how both of y'all simultaneously put your head down in your hand and shows you how I got y'all right here at 10:15 o'clock.
You've been hanging out with the interns too much.
Well, I'm hanging out with my brother too much. He's been around middle school kids, teaching them all day, so that rubs off as well.
Shame on Josh too.
That helped, but hey, I got to change it up. So give me Ruston. So, but it's going to be a close game because, like you said, both these two teams are very familiar with each other, and that last game was really close. Washaw's not going to get blown out. They've shown all year they're not going to get blown out, but it's going to be a one touchdown type of game, like St. Charles Catholic and Shaw. I think it's going to be a very physical game, and defense is going to be big in this game. But give me Ruston. All right, so we're going to our final game of the night, and this is finale. And Grant's not excited about this at all. Let's just skip over it. But
What are we all waiting for?
In the car and St. Aug, let's just say that some records of attendance might be broken after this one. In the car, St. Augustine, Grant, I think there's going to be two games going on this game. The actual game on the field and the in the stands as well with the bands. It's going to be an incredible atmosphere in the dome. But in the car, we had, Mr. Howard on earlier, interacting with the show. His son, one of 15 players that signed from In the Car. And I'm going to ask a question before we go into it, actually, after we go over all the picks. But until now, In the Car, they are at the top of the mountaintop. They're the program to beat. Bryce Brown is the coach to beat. They are the dynasty right now in Louisiana high school football. But Robert Valdez, another coach that's made some history. I know we had Coach Sauce from Maggio. He led 3 teams to the Dome. Coach Valdez has done that too. He's led West St. John. He's led St. James. And now he's led St. Augustine to the Dome. Show what kind of great coach he is. A dramatic fashion, getting that 32-29 last second win over John Curtis Spencer. You have St. Augustine first trip first trip ever to the Superdome for the Prep Classic, but first state championship appearance is 1979. And the Car won this game the first time around. This is a Catholic League matchup. We talk about 2-5A. This is the Catholic League matchup in Division I Select. Do you have the Purple Knights? Is there any way do the Purple Knights have a chance, or and the Car again dominating to another state championship?
I'll I'm gonna keep my pick relatively short because I feel like Grant could probably talk for about 3 hours.
Probably so.
You should go with me first.
I think St. Aug's just a bit too beat up to be in this one. They've got a lot of injuries. It kind of sucks, but that I'm going to put it down to that. But I just think they've got too many injuries. I mean, they've been dealing with it throughout the whole year. So it's great they made it here. It's going to take something really special to beat Carr, and I just think they're too beat up for it. So yeah, give me Carr. Even if they were at full strength, I would probably still pick Carr. But yeah, give me Carr. Go ahead, Grant.
Yeah, go ahead, Grant. You're going to get your opinion on this. He's ready. He's ready for the moment. It's all yours. The floor is all yours, Grant.
I think no matter who wins this game, the biggest winner of this game is the LHSAA, right? When they made the schedule, it was like, all right, Division I select is going last. They knew Carl was probably going to be one of the teams, right? But you would have never expected. Well, I'm gonna say never expected, but I think if you told the LCA, hey, St. Aug will be in the Superdome against Carr, if you would have told them that, I think they would be so happy because they are gonna make so much money off of this game. I told Jace this on Friday night. I really expect the double decks to be open up for this game. Not only because, of course, these are two of the schools in New Orleans, right? Of course, in the city of New Orleans. But you got a St. Aug program that has not been to the Dome since 1979.
Yeah.
Right. So a lot of these, and they've never played in the Prep Classic.
Right, because
they're in the first game, the first state championship game to be played in the Superdome, but they've never been in the Prep Classic. That happened before they moved all the games to the Superdome, right? Yep. And you're going to have a lot of people, because a huge, of course, you're going to have a lot of St. Aug people in New Orleans, but you got people from all over the country come to this game. Stan Verrett, of course, the former ESPN Sports Center anchor, he went to St. Aug, and he tweeted out that his brother, I think, was flying from out of the country or something like that to come to this game, to come to the game. And I told you, you're going to see a lot of very important people from the city of New Orleans. Because there's two, I think the mayor's going to be there. I think the mayor-elect, she's going to be there. I'm talking about Helena Moreno. You're going to see a lot of city councilmen. You're going to see people that are in the Louisiana state representatives and state senate. You're going to probably see some U.S. congressmen at the game. It's going to be huge. But now that Carr always brings a great crowd. But now because it's going up against St. Aug, you're gonna have a lot more Carr people. But also you have to have this. You're gonna have a lot of casual fans too.
Oh
right?
Yeah.
You have a lot. You're gonna have a lot of people who just love Louisiana high school football. You're gonna have the unks of the world. Betting on the streets. The guys who are betting on the streets for this game are not going to be at the Superdome. So you're gonna see a lot of different people. I think it's great for the city of New Orleans that we're having this. I think it's great for the state they're having this. I think it's great for the LCA because they know they're going to make a lot of money. I think also, the shot, because you're ending the day 2, day 3, Friday and Saturday with 2 New Orleans area schools. But this is the one that's going to drive the attendance numbers. I think, of course, the North Louisiana schools always travel well. Ruston and Ouachita are going to travel well, especially Ouachita, because it's the first time in a while. But I think, I think this is a great way to end it with Carr, probably the biggest brand in the state of Louisiana, the number 1 team in the state of Louisiana, but also the team that kicked off everything, right? They played against St. Jesuit in the first state championship game in 1978, right? 1979. I don't know where they played the state championship game, but it was in the Superdome.
I think it was the Strawberry Stadium is what I heard.
Yeah. So the fact that you have St. Aug, the team that brought everybody to the Superdome, I think it's really special. But I have my pick. I have to go with Carr. I think the shore is great. The St. Aug's there, but I think that, like Spencer said, they've been beat up. I think it's the aspect of this is the first time ever. I was talking to because the Carr players are there and the St. Aug players are there at the media day. We have, ironically, Hooters, right? but hey, man, you can't beat free wings. And also, they sponsor Crescent City, so. But yeah, but I was talking to the St. Aug players. Of course, they're very excited. I think everyone's, VK was there. Of course, we all know VK's a St. Aug guy. He was actually the one that made the call. If you
he wasn't excited. VK wasn't excited about the call. I just gotta say, I think a little bit more emotion would have done. But
yeah. VK's already an emotional guy, but when that happened, I was like, oh man,
a little bit more emotion.
Yeah, man, it's great for the St. Aug community. I know a lot of them. Of course, my grandfather went there. Huge St. Aug guy, and if he was still alive, he definitely would have came to the game too. But I just think that St. Aug's too beat up. But going back to what I was saying, St. Aug players, of course, are all excited. But if you talk to the car players, like, yeah, man, it's just another game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
they've already played the St. Aug before. They're district opponents, but not all that. It's like we were here last year. Like, how many times is the program? Like, we've watched Carr play in this game when we were growing up. Like, it's just another game to them, and it truly is. I mean, and I think that's the difference. I think that it's kind of similar to a few years ago. I think I mention this all the time. Brother Martin Curtis in 2022. Curtis has already been there before. It's like, to them it's another game. But Brother Martin is like, this is our first time in 33 years.
Yeah. It's definitely
we're just happy to be here. We can get the semifinals, we lose. We just happen to get, and they lost like 29-0. So I think the game would be close. I don't think it'll be a blowout, but I think the game will be close. I think it will be very close to the first half. I think late, Carr will pull away. But two fantastic programs, two fantastic coaches. St. Aug also has a lot of talent too. Like, they're gonna have a lot of guys sign D1 next year. But I think Carr's could be a little bit too much for the Purple Knights. But regardless, I think the fact that St. Aug is back. I think people have been waiting for St. Aug to turn that corner for a while, and I think now they finally have. And I think as long as Valdez is there, St. Aug
hire the right guy. Yeah.
For the first time, I think for the first time they finally got the right guy. A guy who might stay there for a while. Depends on what happens, right? A lot of stuff can happen where maybe you might want to go back to the public school system to get his pensions. There's a lot of stuff where high school coaches make some, like, for example, David Simnell. No one expected him to leave Catholic for Central, and it just happened, right? And there's a lot of different reasons for them, whether it's money, whether, hey, I want to go back to the public school system to get pensions. And there's a lot of stuff that happens when you see those coaching changes. Like, oh, wow, how'd that happen? But with Valdez, I think it's just the perfect marriage. And I think, Valdez has completely changed the culture of St. Aug. And it may not be their year this year, but next year, in my opinion, I think they will be the favorite because they have a lot of guys coming back. And this is a young team too, still, by the way. This is still a very young team. So,
yeah, well, I'm going to keep it simple, keep it short, and the car. That's pretty much all you can say about it.
I like the pick, Jace.
Yeah, like the pick. Well, I have a lot of respect. I just want to say a lot of respect for Coach Valdez. He's actually been on the show a lot this year, and and you knew when St. Aug was going to make that hire. Like, that was a grand slam. That was a home run out the park. I don't think a lot of people saw this coming this early, especially year two, to bring this team to the Dome. But in the car right now, so this is at a different level. In terms of where they're at. In the car, I talked to you about this last year, Grant, just covering high school football. I've covered a lot of great teams, but I don't think there was a team that can beat that in the car team. I think that's the greatest high school team I've seen in person. And right now, the next year, you signed 15 players assigned.
They're better than they were the year before.
And that's what I was going to ask.
They have 3 wide receivers go D1.
Right. And that's what I was going to ask y'all as we kind of wrap this up, especially you, Grant. But I was going to ask, what team is better? Is it this year's Endicott team or last year's Endicott team? And, we talked about the receivers and everything last year, but I felt like the defense is better this year. So, what do you – if you had to put last year's card team against this year's card team, even a lot of guys that were on last year's team, who you leaning with?
Last year's card team versus this year's card team. Probably this year's card team, just because I think that you lost a lot, but it's weird because like each the teams are almost it's crazy because a lot of guys are back, but the teams are still pretty different. I think Carr hurts you a lot more on the ground than they do in the air
Yeah.
this year.
Yep.
Um,
Yep.
so I think it's just kind of a product of the fact they graduate all the wide receivers. Everyone's like dropping 8 and whatever in coverage, so you just run the ball because you're all running away from me. So, um, but I think they've been more dominant on defense this year than they were last year. So I would say defense this year is probably the
They've
difference.
done it a little bit differently, like you
Yeah,
mentioned.
but it's still really fun to watch them play. You did forget to ask which game I'm most excited for on the final day, Jace. I don't know if that was your
Yes.
second question, but it's
Yeah, that
definitely.
was my second question.
I'm excited to watch the on product. I'm more excited about the on field product in the first game, and the second
Yeah,
game I'll just be in
just
the
the
end zone.
atmosphere.
I'll be in the end zone like dancing.
Oh yeah, there's 2 games going on at one time. I can tell you that for a fact. But the atmosphere is going to be insane. But I think I'm looking forward to the first game more, as far as like the on the field game.
And I'll say this too, like, and I was kind of looking at the schedule. I'm like, okay, you know what? Last year's is better because I forget. I'm like, when you start looking at the scores, because I think
I think last year's card team is better.
if you look at the scores, you'd be like, obviously they're bigger. But if you look at the teams, how they beat them, they beat Shaw 40-21 last year with Jacob Walsh and Jasper Parker. That team ended up winning the Division II Select State Championship. They destroyed. They beat Rummel last year, 68-28 in the district championship, essentially. And then you got in the playoffs. They beat Huntington 56-6. They beat a St. Thomas More team that had won the Division II Select State Championship the previous 2 years in the quarterfinals. Killed them. Beat a great Catholic, a great Catholic team that had both the Bradford brothers and all those guys. And then, of course, they beat Alexandria 53-8, which a lot of people thought, that game. A lot of people thought those are the 2 best teams in the state, and they mollywopped them. And it should have been even worse had John Johnson not thrown 4 picks in that game. Which is crazy because that might have been his worst game, which is crazy to say that.
And that's why I picked last year's card team. I think last year's now we're going to see what happens. There's still one chapter of this to be written. And that's going to be the state championship game, how that goes against St. Auburn. But I mean, last year's team, we talked about those receivers. They had 4 Division I receivers, son, as well last year. And you returned a lot of those players on defense, like the Aiden Halls and the Richard Andersons and those guys too, from last year's team. So, I mean, I'm going to lean towards last year just because I thought the passing game was a little bit sharper last year compared to this year. But it's kind of like comparing apples and apples, man. I mean, it's just 2 really good teams.
I think if you put this year's team, in that kind of, I think it was like you mentioned, I think last year's passing game was just better. I think this year, the fact that people are dropping so much, it's kind of forced them to just run the ball. I mean, I think John does a great job making decisions at quarterback on whether to keep or throw. And obviously, I hear a lot of people continue to say, well, he throws a lot of interceptions. Like, I'm pretty sure it's designed to be that way. Like, they'll take some 50-50 balls. They'll take some shots down the field. They're just they know that the defense will get the ball back if they give it away. So, like, I don't know. You're right. You're right, though. It's like apples to apples. I mean, both of them have been really good. I mean, every year someone normally asks Bryce the question when they
what's
win.
His best team? Yeah.
How does this team kind of rank against some of the other ones? And he normally just tries to give the best coach speak answer of, well, every team is special and yada, yada, yada. This team's good at this. This team's good at that. So, but I imagine if they win on Saturday, someone's going to say, comparing the 2 teams over last year, which one do you think is better? I'm not going to lie. He's probably just going to give you the same answer of both teams do stuff well.
JT will give you the same answer about all the Curtis teams too. You can say, "Oh, all the state championship teams are."
Yeah, because he said 27 of them. Like,
I know. I mean, I'm sure the first one's always special. There's always milestones and different teams, and more NFL talent, and more this team went undefeated against these teams. But yeah, I mean, it's comparing apples to apples when you go into that comparison. All right, guys. I think that will. This is your.
Uh-oh.
We lost Jace.
I think Jace was trying to press a button, and he ended up pressing the wrong button. Jace will be back here shortly, but for anyone who is watching still, we always appreciate you for watching the show Ballin
We're
with the
back.
Boot here in the Louisiana High School State Championship preview. We mentioned at the top, we'll mention it again here. The best way to watch is going to be on the LHSA Network.
Yeah.
We'll be broadcasting every single game. Download the LHSA Network TV app. It's on Fire Stick, Roku, Apple TV. Download it. It's not on phones. If you want to watch on your phone or on your computer, you'll have to pay for the NFHS. You can also watch if you're based kind of in a Cox area, Cox Channel 4. Those will have the games as well. They'll be using our stream. Jace, while you were gone, I just decided to give my final spiel.
Yeah, hey, I was going to ask about that.
Excited to see what happens this week, and just continuing to do some amazing things for high school sports, and loving to see the growth of this area, or not just this area, but this state.
Yeah, definitely well said, and thanks for the little glitch there, but I'm back on. So
you definitely try to stop sharing your screen and press the leave call button, right?
Yeah. So what I did was, that's what happened. I went back to out of this screen, and instead of going back out the other screen. So that's exactly what happened. It's getting kind of late here, but great. Make sure to if you're not at the games. If you want to watch the games live, I know go to Spencer's Facebook page. He's got a great step-by-step tutorial on how you can watch the games on the LHSA network. And Grant, your final thoughts tonight. We got one more day. Get done with everything you get done tomorrow, and then because it's all Superdome from Thursday to Saturday. But just your thoughts on being excited about the next couple of days in the Dome, and again watch some really great teams going against each other for the next couple of days.
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir. I'm really excited to be back here. I'm glad to be back with Jace. It's the first time we got to cover a high school game together. Of course, it's great to see Spencer with me as well. You know, worked with him at the Rev back at time at LSU. We're in the same graduating class as well. Graduated together. So it's great to see have the dynamic, or not the dynamic, but the triple threat back in Louisiana. Of course, that kind of interjects because, of course, it might be me, Jason, Jared, or it might be me, Jared, and Spencer, or it's a whole thing because obviously, shout out Jared, but it would be great to see Jared again as well. Of course, the guy travels all over the state.
I'm not ready. I'm not excited to see Jared. I was in the car with him.
He's in the car with him for hours.
Oh, what? Okay, I need to know what was that like.
It was great. Yeah, we'll have some fun stories to tell in the Superdome. But yeah, we had a great time. It was great. It was cold. Yesterday, I felt like it was really cold. And as we got more and more north, we were like, well, it's getting colder.
Dude, North Carolina was freezing. When I left, it was like in the low 30s. It was crazy.
This
is nothing. I'm used to this.
It's colder.
Yeah, I'm used to this, man. This is nothing. But North Carolina, it's like, ugh.
Yeah, it's a little different. It's a little different than this cold. Down here. This cold down here. But this guys, football weather. But we're going to be in the Dome during this football.
Hey, it's cold in the Dome too, man.
It does. It gets. Really
I never wear short sleeves or shorts in the Dome. It's always kind of like that, and not as cold as it is outside, but it's still pretty cold in there.
Especially in the press box for sure. Get yourself a jacket.
Oh man, some of us are gonna be on the field, Jace.
Yeah, I'm gonna be back and forth. Sometimes you'll see me on the field. Sometimes you'll see me in the press box.
Sometimes you'll see Jace in the stands cheering for one of the teams.
Yeah, there you go. That's it.
Hey, so Jace, who's writing for? Besides you, who's writing for you guys? I know we're on the live show, but you gotta want to give a shout out to the writers who's gonna be helping you out.
Oh yeah, Roman's gonna be helping me 2 of the days, and Billy's going to be taking pictures for us. Zach LaFontaine is going to be shooting some video for us as well. So, yeah, we got a little bit of a crew coming for Gridiron. So, and that's another thing, guys. I know you have a chance to watch the game. I was just saying Network, get a chance to listen to it as well. Crest City Sports and 106.7 The Ticket. But we also got a recap as well. So go to GridironFootballUSA.com. We have a little article recap. We have some highlights from each of the games as well. So go check that out too.
And also, I want to make sure, will we see Andy Bryce scouting on the silence at the Dome?
I don't think so. We're
Aw.
actually we got some bowl game business that needs to be taken care of on Thursday. So I'm gonna give a shout out to Andy and Richard. Richard are handling that right now on Thursday. So a couple of business meetings for the bowl game. So I get to have a little fun while they get to go and handle all that. So I'm
Yeah.
looking forward to it. Well,
Hey,
guys,
shout out to Go Tommies too.
yeah, go Tommies. That's right, go Tommies as well. So appreciate that, Spencer, and I'm sure Tommy's going to get you a little bit of a cut after that little promo there. But yeah, great guy, Tommy Kissinger and his whole crew. And we talk about four keys: integrity, dependable, professional, efficient. That's what describes them. So if you're trying to get you have faulty windows, you need to get those replaced, door, siding, gutters. They can do it all, and they got top of the line windows for you to install. So give them a call, 225-250-8808, and go to gotommies.com. And Grant, we'll probably have a little bit, at least on Thursday. Maybe want to join me as well. And at the Dome, we have a reunion recapping all these games. We'll also give some more shout outs to Tommy's Windows at the end. And I know Roman will be with me for Friday and Saturday recapping the action. So, but yeah, guys, I will be seeing y'all in the Dome. Spencer, has been a great year, especially during this whole road to the Dome and being a part of the show as well for this whole run. So really appreciate you, Spencer. I know you've been working hard as well. One of the hardest workers out there in terms of a high school sports. He's doing everything, all the sports. So huge shout out to Spencer. Obviously, Grant. Great to see Grant back in the boot as well. That's where he belongs. That's where Grant belongs. He knows it. So I know he's coming back from North Carolina. He's back home, and I know he's really excited about that. Well, guys, one more thing. Thank you to everybody that's watched. Share the show out. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. It's really growing right now. We're really growing our channel, so we really appreciate that, guys. And then, yeah, we'll make sure to see y'all on Thursday. And after the games are done, we'll have a little recap as well about how the state championship games happen on Thursday. So thank you, guys. It'll be 3 great days of football. So that's it for, I guess, like the holy trinity there of Louisiana high school football there for Spencer Verrett, for Grant Sastre. I'm Jason Stern. Thank you so much. And we'll see y'all at the Dome this week. Enjoy your time in the Big Easy.